Echoes of the Ebenforge in a quaint village nestled within the heart of the Ironwild forest. The cobblestone streets echoed with laughter and life. The scent of freshly baked bread wafted from the local tavern, enticing travellers to pause their journey for a moment's respite. But beneath this idyllic facade lurked darkness. Whispers of an ancient curse had begun to circulate among the villagers, fueling fear and paranoia. The village blacksmith, Aaron, a reclusive artisan with a mysterious past, knew all too well about the curse. It was the reason he had isolated himself from the world for so long. As night fell, Aaron stood before his anvil, hammer in hand, the fire's flickering glow casting eerie shadows upon his weathered face. The cursed weapon, a sword of unparalleled power and malice, lay dormant within its stone chamber deep beneath his forge, waiting to be awakened. Unbeknownst to Aaron, his seclusion had not gone unnoticed. Kayla, the cunning and ambitious queen of the neighboring kingdom, sought control over the cursed weapon as a means to solidify her rule. Her spies had reported the blacksmith's existence, and she had dispatched Thorin, a seasoned warrior sworn to protect Aaron and uncover the truth about the curse. Thorin, a tall and muscular man with an air of quiet resolve, crept through the forest, his keen eyes searching for any sign of the blacksmith's village. He had been on this mission for days, following leads and piecing together fragments of information like puzzle pieces, all in the name of protecting Aaron and learning about the curse that plagued them both. As he reached the edge of the village, Thorin caught sight of a gathering crowd around the local tavern, their hushed voices betraying the tension that gripped the town. Intrigued, he slipped into the shadows and listened, eager to learn more about this mysterious blacksmith who held the key to unraveling the curse. As the night wore on, Aaron's thoughts turned to the cursed weapon and the darkness it represented. He knew that it was only a matter of time before Kayla or someone else discovered its location and sought to wield its power for their own nefarious purposes. With a heavy heart, he resolved to seek answers about his past and find a way to protect the village and himself from the impending danger. Thorin, meanwhile, had slipped away from the tavern crowd, determined to find Aaron and learn more about the curse. As he made his way towards the blacksmith's forge, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The village seemed too quiet, too still, as if the darkness lurking beneath the surface had begun to seep out into the open. And unbeknownst to either man, the cursed weapon stood within its stone prison, sensing the growing tension and hunger for power that coursed through the veins of those who sought to control it. The darkness within it began to awaken, yearning to be released and wreak havoc upon the world above. Early evening approached, painting the sky with hues of fiery orange and purple. The village's bustling centre was home to the local tavern, a humble establishment offering warmth, food, and drink for weary travellers. Inside, Aaron sat at his usual spot, sipping ale, trying to blend in like any other villager. Thorin entered the tavern, scanning the room discreetly before making his way towards the blacksmith. He took a seat at an adjacent table, watching Aaron intently. Aaron noticed Thorin's gaze but pretended not to notice. The tension in the air was palpable as they locked eyes briefly before looking away. A moment of awkward silence passed between them until the tavern's proprietor called out for Thorin's attention, interrupting the standoff. "Thorin, you're just in time for a round of drinks," the old man said with a friendly smile, placing a mug filled with frothy ale on the table. "What brings you to Ironwild this evening?" "I've arrived to investigate strange happenings," Thorin replied gruffly. "Word travels quickly in these parts." The proprietor nodded, his eyes lingering on Aaron for a moment before turning back to Thorin. "Aye, the forest grows darker by the day. I hope you find answers." Thorin gave a curt nod and continued to watch Aaron, who had returned to nursing his drink in silence. The tension between them remained unbroken as the tavern buzzed with life around them, oblivious to the growing storm brewing within the village. As the evening progressed, both men left the tavern, each heading towards their respective destinations. Thorin made his way to Aaron's forge while the blacksmith walked home, lost in thought. The air was charged with anticipation as they prepared to confront each other and the ancient curse that threatened to consume their world. Meanwhile, in the heart of Ironwild Forest, The cursed weapon stirred within its prison, sensing the growing tension in the village. It had waited for eons, patiently biding its time until the moment was right to reclaim its power and wreak havoc upon the realm. Echoes of the ebon forge. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows over Ironwild Forest as a soft wind rustled through the leaves. In a quaint village nestled within its heart, the local tavern bustled with the chatter of villagers exchanging stories and gossip. The air was thick with tension as whispers of an ancient curse whispered throughout the crowd. Iron stood at the bar, nursing his ale, his eyes scanning the room for any signs of trouble. He had grown accustomed to this uneasy existence, ever aware that the cursed weapon lay dormant within the depths of his forge, waiting. The thought weighed heavy on him as he struggled to shake off the weight of his past. Thorin, seated at a nearby table, watched Iron with a mixture of concern and suspicion. He had been sent by the king to protect Iron and uncover the truth behind the curse that threatened their realm. As the two men were once friends, Thorin couldn't help but feel a sense of unease about his current mission. "Aeron," Thorin called out, drawing the blacksmith's attention. "I need to speak with you." Aeron reluctantly made his way over to Thorin's table, his movements heavy and slow as if burdened by an unseen weight. "What is it?" he asked gruffly, trying to keep his emotions in check. Thorin leaned in close, lowering his voice so that only Aeron could hear him. "I heard rumors of a cursed weapon buried deep within your forge," he said softly. "I need you to tell me the truth about it." Aeron stiffened, his gaze flickering between Thorin and the door as if expecting an attack at any moment. "The weapon is gone," he said curtly. "It was stolen long ago by a thief who sought its power." Thorin studied Aeron's face for any signs of deceit, but found none. He had been trained to read people, and Aeron seemed genuinely surprised by his question. "I believe you," Thorin said after a moment. "But I must warn you, if the weapon is found, it could bring ruin upon us all." Aeron nodded grimly, his eyes never leaving Thorin's. "I understand," he said softly, "and I will do everything in my power to ensure that doesn't happen." As Aeron turned to leave, Thorin called out to him once more. "If you need assistance, don't hesitate to ask," he said. "We are on the same side." Aeron paused, turning back to face Thorin with a small, sad smile. "I appreciate that," he said, "but I have always been able to handle things on my own." With that, Aeron walked away, leaving Thorin to ponder his words as he returned to his ale. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than what Aeron was telling him, but for now he would keep his suspicions to himself. The moon hung low in the sky above the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, casting eerie shadows on cobblestone streets and the humble homes of its inhabitants. In a corner of the village square, Aeron stood before his forge, his heart heavy with anticipation as he glanced over his shoulder at the bustling tavern behind him. For years, whispers had circulated throughout the kingdom about an ancient curse that threatened the balance of power. Now, as the cursed weapon's presence grew stronger within his forge, Aeron felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He knew he couldn't hide from its power any longer. Inside the tavern, Thorin sat at a table with several other villagers, discussing the recent events that had shaken their small community. His eyes scanned the room, searching for any hint of danger as he listened to their hushed whispers and concerned glances. As the village's protector, it was his duty to safeguard the villagers and uncover the truth about the curse. Aeron's decision to leave the tavern and return to his forge had not gone unnoticed by Queen Kaela. She watched from the shadows, her ambition burning bright in her eyes as she observed the blacksmith's hesitation and the warrior's determination. With the cursed weapon in her possession, she could solidify her rule over the kingdom, but to claim it she must first neutralize Aeron. As Kaela's thoughts raced, a cunning plan began to take shape. She would use the villagers' fear against them and turn their allegiances towards her cause. With her royal influence and charisma, she could sway public opinion and claim the weapon for herself before Aeron or Thorin stood in her way. Echoes of the ebon forge, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest. A gentle breeze carried the scent of charred oak and smouldering coals from the local tavern, where villagers gathered to share tales of the cursed weapon that had surfaced once more in Iron's forge. Aaron sat alone at a table near the hearth, nursing a mug of ale as he studied the details of the sword's power etched into its blade. The weapon's malice pulsed within him like a heartbeat, whispering promises of destruction and vengeance. He closed his eyes, focusing on the memories it brought forth, visions of his past, filled with blood and sorrow. Thorin stood guard outside the tavern, watching as villagers spoke in hushed whispers about the cursed weapon. His heart ached for Iron, who he had sworn to protect from those seeking control over the sword's power. But more than that, Thorin feared the darkness lurking within its blade, a darkness that seemed to grow stronger by the day. Meanwhile, Queen Kyla stood hidden in the shadows beyond the tavern walls. Her eyes narrowed as she observed the growing unease among the villagers. This was her opportunity to seize power and secure the cursed weapon for herself. She would use it to solidify her rule over the kingdom, no matter the cost. As twilight faded into night, tensions in the village rose like a storm brewing on the horizon. Unbeknownst to any of them, their fates were intertwined with the cursed weapons, and only by working together could they hope to unravel its mystery and save their world from destruction. The night grew colder as whispers turned to murmurs, and the village square filled with flickering torchlight. In his forge, Iron felt the power within the cursed weapon growing stronger, calling out to him like an old friend, offering promises of vengeance against those who had wronged him in the past. Thorin stood watch outside the tavern, feeling a sense of urgency building within him. Something was amiss. He could feel it in the air, but as he scanned the crowd, his gaze fell upon Kyla, hidden among the shadows. A cold chill ran down his spine as he realized she was not there to help them, but rather to take advantage of their fears and claim the cursed weapon for herself. In the darkness, Iron's fingers traced the intricate patterns etched into the sword, feeling the power coursing through him like a torrent of molten iron. The whispers in his mind grew louder, urging him to embrace the darkness and unleash its fury upon those who had wronged him. But Iron knew that this was not the path he wanted, nor the one he needed to take. He closed his eyes, focusing on the memory of a time before the darkness, a time when he had been free and happy. And as the visions faded, he felt a glimmer of hope within him, like the first light of dawn breaking through the gloom. Meanwhile, Thorin confronted Kyla in the shadows outside the tavern, his hand tightening around the hilt of his sword. He knew she was dangerous, but he also knew that she held information vital to understanding the curse and saving Iron. With a heavy heart, he made a decision. He would take her captive and force her to reveal what she knew. In the village square, the crowd began to disperse as whispers turned into shouts, voices raised in anger and fear. The tension hung heavy in the air, like an impending storm ready to break at any moment. And as Iron emerged from his forge, clutching the cursed weapon close to his chest, he knew that their fates were about to collide, and only by working together could they hope to unravel the curse's mystery and save their world from destruction. The night grew colder still as the moon rose high in the sky, casting long shadows across the village square. The villagers huddled together, their fears and hopes mingling with the cold wind that swept through the trees. And in the midst of it all stood Iron, Thorin and Kyla, each bound by the cursed weapon's power, each fighting their own demons as they faced an uncertain future. As the winds howled through Ironwild Forest, whispers of change echoed across the land. In the heart of the quaint village, Iron, Thorin and Kyla stood at a crossroads, their fates intertwined with that of the cursed weapon. The road before them was long and treacherous, filled with darkness and danger. But as they looked into each other's eyes, they knew that together they could face whatever lay ahead and perhaps even find redemption along the way. The night wore on, and the villagers slowly made their way back to their homes, leaving behind the echoes of whispers and the lingering scent of fear. In the quiet, Iron, Thorin and Kyla stood together, bound by the cursed weapon's power, a reminder of all they had lost and all they still had to fight for. As dawn broke over Ironwild Forest, casting the first light upon the village square, they knew that their journey had only just begun. And as they set off into the unknown, each holding on to hope and determination, they vowed to unravel the curse's mystery together, no matter what trials lay ahead. The moon cast long shadows through the iron-wild forest as Aeron led Thorin and Kaela into the heart of darkness. The cursed weapon had grown in power, its whispers echoing in Aeron's mind. "What do you want from me?" Aeron demanded, clutching a small pouch containing the weapon's essence. "Why have I been chosen to bear such responsibility?" Thorin watched with concern as his friend wrestled with inner turmoil, knowing that the answer would change everything. Kaela, however, remained silent, her eyes gleaming with ambition. The trio pressed deeper into the woods, guided by Aeron's memories and instincts. The forest seemed to grow darker as they ventured further, its twisted branches reaching out like grasping hands. As they approached a clearing, a sudden gust of wind sent leaves scattering across their path. A faint light shimmered in the distance. "We must find a way to break the curse," Aeron said, his voice barely audible over the howling winds. "But I fear that the answer lies deeper than we could ever imagine." As they neared the source of the light, an ancient temple emerged from the shadows. Its walls were adorned with intricate carvings depicting battles between armies of light and darkness. Aeron paused at the entrance, his heart racing as he realized that this was no ordinary temple. It was a sanctuary built by the forgotten civilization who created him. This is where I belong," Aeron whispered, his voice laced with awe. "But what if they meant for me to be more than just an artisan?" Thorin looked around the temple, his eyes widening in shock as he took in the enormity of their discovery. Kaela, however, simply smirked, her thoughts hidden behind a mask of indifference. Inside the temple, they found a chamber filled with ancient books and relics, each one holding secrets that could unravel the mystery surrounding Aeron's past and the curse. As they searched for answers, the whispers grew louder, urging Aeron to embrace his true potential. "We must be careful," Thorin warned, noticing the dark energy pulsating through the chamber walls. "The curse is growing stronger." Aeron nodded, his resolve hardening as he reached out to touch an ancient scroll. As he did so, a surge of energy coursed through him, filling him with newfound power and clarity. "I am not just a blacksmith," Aeron declared, standing taller as the curse's whispers faded. "I am a weapon forged from the fires of destiny." Thorin looked at Kaela, who stared back without expression. He knew that their journey was far from over, and that darkness they sought to vanquish would not go quietly. But with Aeron's newfound strength, he felt hope for the first time in a long while. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, in the heart of a quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, Aeron and Thorin entered the local tavern seeking solace from their journey thus far. The dimly lit room was filled with weary travelers, farmers, and townsfolk exchanging tales and laughter. But as they stepped through the door, a hush fell over the crowd. "Look at that," whispered one man to another, pointing towards Aeron's glowing eyes. The legendary blacksmith himself. Thorin pulled Aeron aside, his gaze never leaving the curious onlookers. "Master Aeron, we should be cautious," he warned in a hushed tone. "This power you wield is drawing attention." "I've lived my life in hiding, Thorin," Aeron replied with a weary smile. "Why start now?" As the evening wore on, Kaela joined them at their table, her eyes glinting with ambition. "We need to find that weapon's essence before it falls into the wrong hands." Aeron looked down at his palm, where a small pouch containing the cursed weapon's power rested. "I have it," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Kaela's eyes narrowed. "Then why haven't you used it?" she asked, her tone cold and calculating. Aeron hesitated for a moment before clenching his fist around the pouch. "I will not let this power consume me," he said firmly. Thorin stood up from his seat, glaring at Kaela. "That's enough, my lady." Kaela leaned forward, her voice barely a whisper. "Thorin, I am the queen. You serve me, not this recluse blacksmith." As tensions rose, the crowd began to disperse, leaving the three of them alone in the dimly lit room. Aeron felt the power within him stirring, his eyes glowing brighter than ever before. "I am no longer a simple blacksmith," he declared, standing up to face Kaela. "I am a weapon forged from destiny, and I will not let you manipulate me or my powers." Kaela's eyes flashed with anger, but she held her ground. Then perhaps it is time to test your newfound strength, she sneered. With a growl, Iron lunged at Kaela, the power within him surging forth in a dazzling display of light and energy. As they fought, Thorin leapt between them, shielding Aeron from Kaela's attacks with his own powerful sword. The tavern erupted into chaos as the two warriors clashed, their blades glowing with an otherworldly radiance. In the midst of the melee, a shadowy figure slipped through the crowd, watching intently. Smiling, it vanished into the night, its malevolent presence felt by all those who remained in the tavern. Aeron and Thorin eventually emerged from the tavern, battered but unbroken, with Kaela's forces in disarray. As they walked back to Iron's forge, the shadowy figure watched from afar, its eyes burning with malice. "I sense a new threat," Iron murmured to Thorin as they entered the forge. "One that may prove more dangerous than any weapon we've faced before." As dawn breaks over Ironwild Forest, the sun pierces through the dense foliage, casting dappled light upon the quaint village nestled within its heart. Iron, Thorin, and their companions set off from the village, their destination hidden by the shifting canopy above. The air is thick with tension. Whispers of Kaela's ambition have reached even this secluded corner of the realm. The path through the forest is treacherous, fraught with twisted roots and tangled vines. As they tread carefully around a particularly precarious bend, Thorin catches sight of something unusual in the distance, an opening in the foliage that hints at a hidden clearing. "There," he says quietly, gesturing towards the clearing. "An ancient temple, perhaps?" "Let's investigate." Iron nods, his eyes narrowing as he studies the distant structure. He can feel the power of the cursed weapon within him, and it whispers to him of secrets hidden deep within these woods. As they approach the temple, it reveals itself to be much older than any other building in the realm, its stonework worn smooth by time and weather. The entrance is adorned with intricate carvings depicting swirling vortexes and creatures from a forgotten age. Aeron takes a deep breath, feeling the power of his newfound abilities coursing through him as he steps inside. Inside, the temple is dimly lit by shafts of sunlight that pierce through cracks in the ceiling. The air is heavy with the scent of old magic and decay. As they venture deeper, the carvings become more detailed, depicting scenes of battle and creation. Aeron's heart races as he recognizes them, images of his own people, forging sentient weapons to defend against an ancient evil. Suddenly, a faint hum fills the air. The others turn to look at him, their faces etched with concern. "The weapon," Iron whispers, his voice barely audible above the humming. "It's here." They follow the sound deeper into the temple, until they reach a chamber containing the cursed weapon in all its malevolent glory. It lies there pulsating with energy, shimmering like darkness itself. Iron feels a strange connection to it, as if it is calling to him, urging him to claim it for his own. But he resists. He remembers the chaos and destruction it wrought when last wielded by its original master. He knows that power must never again fall into the wrong hands. As they prepare to leave, a shadowy figure steps from behind a pillar, blocking their exit. Kaela's eyes widen as she recognizes the man. He is one of her spies, sent to keep tabs on Aeron and his companions. "What do we have here?" she says, a smile playing upon her lips. "A group of interlopers seeking the weapon that will secure my rule." Iron clenches his fists, feeling the power of the weapon within him stir. He knows he cannot let it fall into Kaela's hands, but he also knows that he cannot allow this man to stand in their way. As the tension between them builds, the cursed weapon hums louder, its energy growing more insistent. Thorin steps forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "We mean no harm," he says, his voice steady and firm. "But we will not be stopped." The man sneers, drawing a dagger from his belt. "I will not you take what is rightfully mine," he declares, lunging forward. A flurry of blows follows, the air filled with the sound of clashing steel and grunts of effort. Aeron and Thorin fight fiercely, their every movement imbued with the power of the cursed weapon. Kaela watches from the sidelines, her eyes never leaving the battle unfolding before her. As the man falls to his knees, panting and battered, Aeron turns to face Kaela. "You seek control over the weapon," he says, his voice heavy with disgust. but it will not be yours." Kyla's eyes flash with anger, but she says nothing. Instead, she turns and walks away, disappearing into the shadows. Aaron watches her go, feeling a mixture of relief and unease. He knows that this is only the beginning, that Kyla will not give up so easily. As they continue their journey deeper into Ironwild Forest, he cannot shake the feeling that danger lurks around every corner. But they press on, driven by the hum of the cursed weapon and the promise of answers hidden within its ancient secrets. Little do they know, they are being watched by forces far older and more powerful than any they have yet encountered. And as they delve deeper into the heart of the forest, the darkness that lies at its core grows ever closer. The shadows in Ironwild Forest stretch longer as day turns to dusk, casting eerie silhouettes upon the temple walls. Aaron and his companions sit around a crackling fire, their bodies weary from their battle earlier in the day. As they rest, whispers of Kyla's ambition continue to haunt them, but for now they have a respite. Thorin breaks the silence, his voice grave as he speaks. "We cannot ignore her threat," he says, looking directly at Aaron. "She will not stop until she claims the weapon." Aaron nods, his eyes distant as he considers Thorin's words. He knows that they cannot keep running forever, that eventually they will have to confront Kyla head-on, but he also knows that he is not ready yet. There are still secrets hidden within these woods, secrets that could help them in their fight against her. As the fire crackles and flickers, Aaron stares into the flames, his mind filled with visions of the past and the future. He sees himself wielding the cursed weapon, battling forces of darkness that threaten to consume all they hold dear. He sees Kyla, her ambition unchecked, ruling over a kingdom shrouded in fear and despair. But he also sees something else, a glimmer of hope, a vision of a brighter future where the cursed weapon is used for good rather than evil. And it is this vision that gives him strength, driving him to continue their journey deeper into Ironwild Forest. As dawn breaks once more, Aaron and his companions set off again, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within these ancient woods. They travel for days, guided by the hum of the cursed weapon and the promise of answers that lie ahead. And as they journey onward, they cannot shake the feeling that they are being watched by forces far older and more powerful than any they have yet encountered. Echoes of the ebon forge, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ethereal glow upon the quaint village, nestled within the heart of Ironwild Forest. Aaron stood at the entrance to his forge, watching as villagers returned home from their daily chores. Thorin, ever vigilant, scanned the shadows, searching for any signs of danger. Aaron, Thorin's voice was a soft whisper that carried through the still air. "We should discuss our next move." Turning to face him, Aaron nodded, inviting the warrior into his workshop. The room was filled with an assortment of half-finished weapons and glowing embers from the forge, casting flickering shadows upon the walls. "I've been thinking," Thorin said, pacing back and forth as he spoke. "We can't let Kyla obtain that cursed weapon. It would be disastrous for our realm." Aaron leaned against an anvil, his gaze fixed on a half-forged sword lying nearby. The metal was unassuming, but Aaron knew the truth. It contained the essence of a sentient weapon. He had not yet breathed life into it, and he wondered if now was the time. "I agree," Aaron replied, his voice heavy with emotion, "but we must be careful. I sense that the weapon's power grows stronger each day." Thorin stopped his pacing, turning to face Aaron. "What do you mean?" Aaron looked up from the sword, meeting Thorin's gaze. "I can feel it, pulsing within me. It calls out for its master." A sense of dread washed over Thorin as he considered the implications. "We must find a way to sever that connection," he said, determination in his voice. As they discussed their options, the sound of footsteps outside the forge door drew their attention. Aaron moved toward the entrance, opening it to reveal a group of villagers led by the village elder. "Aaron, we need your help," the elder said, his voice trembling slightly with fear. "The temple has been defiled. It's as if someone took the cursed weapon." Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. "What happened? Was anyone hurt?" "We found a trail leading away from the temple," the elder said, "but it disappeared into the forest. We fear Kyla has claimed the weapon. A fire burned within Aaron's eyes as he turned to Thorin. "We must act quickly. If she has the weapon, we have no choice but to confront her." "Agreed," Thorin said, his voice cold and determined. "We will find Kayla and take back what is rightfully ours." The group set off into Ironwild Forest, following the trail left behind by the Queen's forces. The forest seemed to close in around them as they ventured deeper, the air growing thick with tension and danger. As night fell, Iron couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them from the shadows. They eventually arrived at a clearing where they found evidence of Kayla's encampment, her banners flying high amidst a sea of torches. A sense of unease washed over Iron as he looked upon the sight before him. "We must be careful," Thorin whispered, drawing his sword. "She will not go down without a fight." Iron nodded, taking a deep breath before leading his companions into battle. As they charged toward Kayla's forces, Iron could feel the cursed weapon's power surging within him. He knew that this was just the beginning of a long and treacherous journey, but he refused to back down. The fight was fierce, with both sides determined to claim victory. But as the battle raged on, Aaron felt a growing connection to the cursed weapon, its power coursing through his veins. It called out to him, whispering secrets and promises of unimaginable power. As the last of Kayla's forces fell before them, Aaron found himself standing face to face with the Queen herself. He could see the rage burning in her eyes as she glared at him, but he stood his ground. "You will not win, Kayla," Aaron said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "The cursed weapon was never yours to claim." Kayla snarled, raising her sword for a final strike. But before she could bring it down, Thorin stepped in front of Aaron, taking the blow meant for him. As he fell, Aaron knew that this was their chance to take back the cursed weapon and end Kayla's reign of terror once and for all. With renewed determination, Aaron reached out with his mind, feeling the connection to the weapon grow stronger by the second. He focused on severing the bond, drawing upon every ounce of strength he could muster. The world seemed to spin around him as he struggled to break free, but eventually the connection snapped like a thread, leaving him gasping for air. As Kayla's forces retreated, Aaron knelt beside Thorin, his heart heavy with grief. He knew that this was only the beginning of their journey, but he also knew that they had taken an important step toward restoring balance to their realm. In the days that followed, Aaron devoted himself to understanding the cursed weapon and its connection to him. With each passing day, he grew stronger, learning to harness its power for good instead of evil, and though the road ahead was long and fraught with danger, he knew that he would not falter. As the sun rose over Ironwild Forest, Aaron stood atop a hill, gazing out upon the realm below. He could feel the weight of the cursed weapon within him, but he also felt a sense of purpose. Together with Thorin and their newfound allies, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead and protect their realm from darkness. The sun hung low on the horizon as Aaron trudged through the Ironwild Forest, the cursed weapon's power guiding his path. He felt its essence pulsing within him, urging him to seek out others who could help uncover its secrets. As he neared a quaint village nestled deep in the forest, he noticed the locals avoiding eye contact and whispering among themselves. A chill ran down his spine as he sensed their fear. He approached the local tavern, hoping to find answers or allies within. Upon entering the dimly lit establishment, Aaron found it filled with suspicious glances and hushed whispers. The patrons parted ways for him, clearing a path to the bar. He sat down and ordered a drink from the gruff bartender, who eyed him warily before serving him. "I am looking for information on the cursed weapon," Aaron said quietly, his gaze never leaving the bartender's face. "Do any of you know where I might find answers?" The patrons exchanged glances, and the tavern grew silent, save for the clinking of glasses and the crackling fire in the hearth. A moment passed before an elderly man stepped forward from a hidden corner. His eyes were as dark as the shadows that surrounded him, but his voice was clear and strong. "I have heard tales of one who can forge sentient weapons," the elder said, "a blacksmith with a troubled past. Perhaps he will know more." Aaron's heart raced at the mention of another artisan. He knew that he was not alone in his power, and the thought both comforted and terrified him. "Take me to this blacksmith," Aaron said, gripping the cursed weapon's essence tightly in his hand. "I will find answers." The elder nodded and led Aaron from the tavern, guiding him through the bustling village centre towards the forge at its heart. As they walked, the villagers gave them a wider berth, their faces filled with fear and reverence. Upon reaching the forge, Aaron found it closed and abandoned. A sense of foreboding washed over him as he examined the smouldering embers within. He could feel the presence of another artisan here, but they were not present now. As he searched for clues, Kyla stepped from the shadows, her eyes gleaming with ambition and hunger. "I have been watching you, blacksmith," she said, a cruel smile playing on her lips. "The cursed weapon is within your grasp, and I will do whatever it takes to claim it." Aaron felt a surge of anger and fear at the sight of his old enemy. He knew that Kayla would stop at nothing to obtain the power of the cursed weapon, but he also sensed a newfound determination within himself. "I will not let you take it," Aaron said, standing tall despite his fear. "Together, we can uncover its secrets and protect our realm." Kayla laughed coldly. "Your loyalty to that blacksmith is your downfall, as I predicted. But worry not, for soon I shall be queen of all realms, and you will serve me gladly." With a flick of her wrist, Kyla conjured a blast of dark energy towards Aaron. He braced himself, feeling the cursed weapon's power surge within him in response. As the two forces collided, the forge shook violently, and the flames roared to life once more. Aaron fought back with every ounce of strength he possessed, the cursed weapon's essence guiding his every move. Kayla was powerful, but she had underestimated him. He could feel it within himself, a spark of defiance that refused to be extinguished. In a moment of clarity, Aaron realized that the key to defeating Kayla lay not in brute force, but in understanding the true nature of the cursed weapon. With renewed determination, he focused his energy and unleashed a blast of pure power, sending Kayla flying back into the darkness from which she came. As the dust settled, Aaron stood over her defeated form, panting and shaking. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down upon him, but also a newfound sense of purpose. He had faced his darkest fears and emerged victorious, and he knew that he would not falter in his quest to protect their realm. The villagers gathered around Aaron as he stood guard over Kyla's unconscious form. The elder stepped forward once more, his face etched with concern. "I have heard tales of one who can heal the wounded," he said. "Perhaps we should take her to the temple." Aaron nodded, feeling a strange mix of emotions. He knew that Kayla was a dangerous enemy, but he could also sense within her a deeper pain and sorrow. He wondered if there was still hope for her redemption, and if he could find it within himself to offer her forgiveness. Together with the villagers, they carried Kayla to the temple, leaving Aaron alone in the forge once more. As he looked upon the smouldering embers, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he also knew that he would face it with newfound strength and purpose. The cursed weapon's power continued to guide him, urging him ever onwards as he delved deeper into the mysteries of its origins and the secrets hidden within himself. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and sacrifice, but he also knew that he would not face it alone. Echoes of the ebon forge, the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the quaint village in an ethereal glow. Aaron walked through its bustling centre, feeling out of place amidst the laughter and camaraderie. His heart ached for Thorin, but he knew he couldn't dwell on loss. There was still much to learn about the cursed weapon. Reaching the local tavern, he pushed open the heavy wooden door, its hinges creaking as it swung inward. The dimly lit room filled with patrons turned their heads, curious at the stranger's entrance. Aaron scanned the crowd for any sign of the blacksmith mentioned by the village elder. As he made his way to the bar, a burly man approached him. "Stranger," he growled, his eyes narrowing. "What brings you to our humble town?" Ignoring the man's hostility, Aaron asked. "Have you heard of a blacksmith named Aidan? I was told he might be able to help me with my quest." The burly man snorted. "Aidan? He's been gone for years, ever since that accursed weapon took his family. Some say he wandered off into the Ironwild forest, never to return." Aaron's heart sank as he realized Aidan might be another casualty of the cursed weapon. "Is there no one else who can help me?" he asked, desperation tinging his voice. The burly man eyed him suspiciously before motioning towards a table in the corner. "There's an old man over there," he said gruffly. "He knows more than most about the Ironwild Forest and its secrets." Aaron thanked the man and made his way to the table, where the elder sat hunched over a mug of ale. He looked up as Aaron approached, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "You seek Aidan?" he asked gently. "I'm afraid I have bad news." "He hasn't been seen in years." Aaron nodded grimly, already expecting this outcome. "But you said there was someone who might know more," he pressed. The elder sighed, his eyes clouding over with sorrow. "There is a hermit deep within the Ironwild Forest, an old man named Eamon. He's been studying the forest for years and may have information about Aidan or the cursed weapon." Aaron thanked the elder for his help and set off towards the Ironwild Forest once more. As he ventured deeper into the trees, the forest seemed to grow darker and more ominous. He could feel eyes watching him from the shadows, but pressed onward, driven by determination and a need to understand the weapon's power before it consumed him completely. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the forest, causing branches to snap and leaves to rustle. Aaron tightened his grip on the cursed weapon's essence pouch, feeling its malevolent energy pulsating within. He knew he wasn't alone. From the trees emerged Kyla, her eyes burning with ambition. "Aaron," she called out, her voice cold and mocking. "I never thought I'd find you here." He tensed, his hand instinctively reaching for the weapon's essence pouch. "You should leave, Kyla," he growled. "Your greed will be your downfall. Your ignorance is amusing," she sneered. "But once I possess that weapon, I will rule this realm." Aaron braced himself as their energies clashed, a brilliant display of magic erupting around them. He fought with all his might, but Kyla's power was immense. As they battled, he realized that understanding the weapon's true nature was key to defeating her. With a surge of strength, Aaron struck Kyla, sending her tumbling to the ground. She looked up at him, surprise and anger etched across her face. "I'll be back," she hissed before disappearing into the shadows. The sun had long since dipped below the horizon, cloaking the quaint village nestled in the heart of the Ironwild Forest in a blanket of darkness. Aaron's footsteps echoed as he made his way towards the local tavern, seeking solace and answers from its inhabitants. Upon entering, the air was thick with smoke, mingling with the scent of ale and sweat. The patrons glanced at him warily, whispering among themselves before returning to their drinks. He approached the burly man behind the bar, a weathered face etched with lines of experience. "I'm looking for Eamon," he said, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "A hermit who lives nearby." The bartender raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Eamon, eh? He doesn't come to the village much anymore, but I heard tell that he spends his time near the forge, up the hill." "Thank you," Aaron said, and without another word, made his way towards the exit, leaving the tavern behind. The path leading up the hill was steep and treacherous, but he climbed steadily, driven by a sense of urgency that burned within him like a fire. The forest grew denser as he ascended, the trees whispering secrets to each other in the wind. He could almost feel their ancient eyes watching him, judging his intentions. Finally reaching the summit, he found himself standing before a large iron door, set into the side of a hill. A forge smokestack rose from its center, casting long shadows across the clearing. Eamon's forge. He hesitated for a moment, but something deep within him urged him forward. With a deep breath, he pushed open the heavy door and stepped inside. The interior of the forge was dimly lit by a single candle, casting eerie shadows across the room. The smell of molten metal filled his nostrils as he searched for Eamon, but the place seemed deserted. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he saw something glinting in the corner, half hidden among piles of discarded scraps. Approaching cautiously, he knelt beside it and reached out a tentative hand. The object was small, no larger than his palm, but it pulsed with an unsettling energy that sent chills down his spine. It was the essence of the cursed weapon, the source of its power. Suddenly, Eamon appeared behind him, his eyes narrowing as he took in the pouch clutched in Aaron's hand. "You seek the weapon's secrets." the hermit asked, his voice low and menacing. You do not understand what you have taken. Aaron stood up slowly, the essence pulsing fiercely in his grasp. I will protect my realm, he said, determination etched into every line of his face. And I will uncover the truth about this weapon. Eamon smiled coldly. Then you are doomed to suffer the same fate as Aidan, he said. The cursed weapon always demands a price. As Aaron left the forge, he could feel the weight of Eamon's words heavy upon his shoulders. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but he was determined to face it head-on. Little did he know, the greatest challenge lay just around the corner. Echoes of the Eben Forge. Meanwhile, Queen Kyla grows more desperate in her quest for power, dispatching agents throughout the land to locate any leads on Aaron's whereabouts. In a remote village nestled within the Ironwild Forest, a mysterious stranger arrives seeking knowledge about the cursed weapon. The villagers are reluctant to share information, but the cunning queen has already sent her most trusted advisors into the village as spies, including Thorin, who is sworn to protect Iron. As Iron approaches the village, he senses the darkness within and feels the pull of the cursed weapon. He enters the local tavern in search of information about Eamon and the Hermit's Forge, unaware that Thorin has already arrived with Kyla's spies on his trail. Inside the tavern, a burly man warns Iron against seeking the cursed weapon, revealing that he once knew Eamon and witnessed the horrors it brought upon the world. Aaron is unsure if he can trust the man, but he listens intently as they share stories of their past and the dangers lurking in the Ironwild Forest. Meanwhile, Thorin struggles to keep Kyla's agents at bay while trying to protect Iron from them. The villagers grow wary as tensions rise between Kyla's forces and those loyal to Eamon. As night falls, Iron makes his way toward the village square, drawn by the essence of the cursed weapon. He senses its power growing stronger with each step, knowing that he cannot ignore it any longer. Thorin, sensing Aaron's presence, approaches him cautiously from the shadows, unsure if he should reveal himself and risk exposing Kyla's intentions. As the two stand face to face, they share a tense moment of silence, both knowing that their paths have converged by fate. They must decide whether to trust each other in this perilous journey ahead or let their past loyalties tear them apart. The fate of their world rests on their choices. The quaint village nestled in the heart of the Ironwild Forest was a haven for weary travelers seeking shelter and respite from the dark, ancient forest that surrounded it. As night fell, its streets were illuminated by flickering lanterns hanging from wooden posts, casting long shadows on the cobblestone paths leading to the village square. Aaron, a reclusive blacksmith with a dark past, trudged through the village with an air of determination and purpose that set him apart from the other travelers. He carried within him the power to forge sentient weapons and the curse that came with it. The essence of the cursed weapon he held in a small pouch at his side seemed to pulse with an energy that resonated with his very being, drawing him closer to its power with each step. In the village's bustling centre, the local tavern was filled with patrons enjoying their evening meals and swapping stories of adventures had and tales told. Aaron walked in, scanning the room for anyone who might hold knowledge about Eamon, the hermit blacksmith he sought. His eyes fell upon a burly man sitting alone at a corner table, nursing a mug of ale. The man looked up as Aaron approached and his face twisted into a sneer. You seek the Hermit's Forge, he asked, his voice dripping with contempt. Best turn back now, while you still can. The Ironwild Forest is no place for the faint of heart. Aaron hesitated, his mind racing as he weighed the burly man's words against the urgings of the cursed weapon within him. He could sense its power growing stronger with each step closer to Eamon's forge. I must find Eamon, he said, his voice barely a whisper. He holds knowledge that can help me understand and control this weapon. The burly man snorted derisively. Eamon is a madman who dabbles in dark arts, seeking to unlock powers best left untouched. You do well to avoid him. Aaron regarded the man for a long moment, his gaze intense and unyielding. I will make my own choices, he said finally. And with that, he turned and left the tavern, leaving the burly man to his ale and bitter thoughts. As Aaron made his way through the village, he could feel the power of the cursed weapon within him growing stronger. It seemed to whisper to him, urging him forward, promising the answers he sought if only he would listen, but a voice from his past echoed in his mind, warning him of the dangers that lay ahead. In the shadows nearby, Thorin watched Aeron's every move, his heart heavy with dread and anticipation. He had been sent by Queen Kaela to find Aemon and bring him back to her for questioning, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something more was at play. As he observed Aeron from afar, he knew that their paths were destined to cross, whether they wanted it or not. In the distance, a commotion erupted in the village square as Kaela's spies arrived, seeking information about Aemon and his forge. The villagers grew wary as tensions rose between those loyal to the queen and those who supported Aeron. Thorin knew that he couldn't remain idle any longer. The time had come to make a choice. As night turned to twilight, Aeron made his way toward the Ironwild forest, drawn by the power of the cursed weapon within him. He could feel its presence growing stronger with each step, and he knew that he couldn't ignore it any longer. Little did he know, Thorin followed in the shadows, unsure if he should reveal himself or let Aeron continue on his path unaware. Aeron walks along the path leading up the hill, the essence of the cursed weapon clutched tightly in his hand. His heart races as he feels the power growing stronger within him, drawing him towards the village square and the source of its malevolent energy. As he nears the village, he pauses, sensing danger lurking nearby. In the local tavern, Thorin sits at a table, nursing a mug of ale as the burly man, an older version of Aemon, tells him stories of the cursed weapon and its power. The tales of horror and destruction echo through the tavern, sending shivers down Thorin's spine. He remembers Aemon's warnings about the artisan seeking the weapon and the consequences that could befall his people if they were not careful. As Thorin leaves the tavern, he catches sight of Aeron approaching the village square. In a moment of indecision, he struggles with loyalty to Kaela and a sense of duty towards protecting Aeron from himself. He decides that he must follow Aeron, but remains hidden in the shadows as the artisan steps into the center of the village square. Aeron gazes up at the full moon, feeling the power within him grow stronger by the second. The villagers huddle together, whispering nervously as they watch him. Kaela emerges from a nearby alleyway, her eyes gleaming with ambition and determination. She steps towards Aeron, a cunning smile on her face. "Aeron," she greets him, "I've been expecting you." Aeron turns to face her, his eyes flickering with anger and fear. The villagers gasp as the power within him surges, sending ripples of energy through the air. Thorin watches from the shadows between revealing himself and allowing events to unfold. Kaela takes a step closer, extending her hand towards Aeron. "I have much to offer you, my dear blacksmith. Together we can rule this realm." Aeron steps back, shaking his head. "No," he growls, the power within him threatening to consume him. "The weapon is not for you or anyone else. It must be stopped." Kaela sneers, taking a step back as well. "You don't know what you're dealing with. This weapon will bring me unmatched power and security for my rule, and I won't let anything stand in my way." Aeron's eyes narrow, his grip on the essence growing tighter. "I will not allow this power to fall into your hands. Not if it means destroying everything we know." As the tension between them grows, Thorin steps out from the shadows, placing himself between Aeron and Kaela. "Aeron, I have followed you for a reason. You must trust me. We can find another way." Aeron glances at Thorin, his eyes filled with confusion and uncertainty. He looks back at Kaela, sensing her malicious intent. As the power within him threatens to overwhelm him, he makes a decision. "Enough," Aeron cries out, releasing the essence of the cursed weapon into the air. The energy surges through the village, causing the ground to shake and buildings to crumble. The villagers scream as they flee for their lives, terrified by the power unleashed before them. Thorin grabs Aeron's arm, pulling him away from Kaela as the essence dissipates into the night sky. "What have you done?" he demands, his voice filled with anger and fear. Aeron looks down at himself, his hands trembling as he feels the power within him fading. He sighs deeply, a sense of dread settling over him. "I don't know," he murmurs, his eyes meeting Thorin's. "But I can feel the curse growing weaker." As they stand there, watching the chaos unfold around them, Aaron realizes that their journey is far from over. The fate of their world hangs in the balance, and they must find a way to confront the true power behind a cursed weapon before it's too late. With the cursed essence gone, Kyla snarls in frustration, her ambition shattered for now. She vows that this will not be the end of their conflict and disappears into the night. Aaron and Thorin exchange a look as they watch her go, both aware that they have only scratched the surface of the danger lurking within the Ironwild forest. As dawn breaks over the village, Aaron and Thorin set off once more, determined to uncover the truth about the cursed weapon and the ancient evil it was created to combat. They know that their journey will be long and treacherous, but they are resolved to see it through, no matter the cost. Echoes of the Ebenforge, a cold wind howled through the Ironwild forest as Aaron trudged along with Thorin by his side. The dense foliage and towering trees seemed to close in on them, casting eerie shadows that danced and flickered like firelight. "How do you know so much about the cursed weapon?" Thorin finally broke the silence as they took a brief rest at the edge of the forest. His eyes never left Aaron, searching for any sign of deception or uncertainty in his gaze. Aaron sighed, rubbing his tired eyes before meeting Thorin's gaze. "I can only tell you what I remember," he admitted reluctantly. "But you must understand, some parts are vague and fragmented." Thorin nodded slowly. "Anything is better than nothing," he said. "We need to know the truth about this weapon if we hope to stop Kayla's ambition." Aaron took a deep breath, recalling the distant memories of his past life as an apprentice in the artisan's village. "I was never like the others," he began. "From a young age, I felt different, as if there was something inside me that set me apart. My master sensed it too, and took me under his wing." Thorin tilted his head inquisitively. "And what happened then?" "One day, he showed me the cursed weapon," Aaron continued. "It lay dormant at the time, but he explained its immense power and the danger it posed if it were to fall into the wrong hands." Aaron paused, taking a moment to compose himself before continuing. "He told me I was chosen to forge a weapon powerful enough to counteract the curse, to protect our world from this ancient evil." Thorin's eyes widened in shock as he listened intently. Aaron could see the wheels turning in his mind, trying to connect the dots between what he knew and the information Aaron was providing him. "But why would you forget all of this?" Thorin asked, breaking the silence. "And how do you know that weapon is the same one we seek?" Aaron sighed, rubbing his forehead as memories flooded back to him. "I don't remember everything," he admitted. "Only fragments, pieces of a larger puzzle that I struggle to put together." Thorin nodded sympathetically. "We'll find answers," he said firmly. "Together, we will unravel the mystery of this cursed weapon and bring peace to our world once more." The sun cast a warm golden glow upon the quaint village, nestled within the heart of Ironwild Forest, as villagers hurried through their daily tasks. The local tavern bustled with laughter and the clatter of mugs on tables. At Aaron's forge, a fire crackled merrily, casting dancing shadows upon the walls, yet the blacksmith remained absent. "Aaron, I have not seen you about the forge in days," called out Elder, his wrinkled face furrowed with concern. "The work needs tending. I'll be there shortly," Aaron replied gruffly from within his home, a small cabin nearby. Thorin, sensing unease, approached Elder. "Something troubles him, Elder. I think we should check on him." Elder nodded solemnly. "Very well. We must see to Aaron's well-being if he is to forge the weapon that will save us all." The two made their way through the village square, past the bustling tavern and shops, until they reached Aaron's home. The door was ajar, and as they peered inside, they found the blacksmith hunched over an open tome, his eyes scanning its pages with fervor. "Aaron?" Thorin called softly. "Is everything all right?" Aaron looked up startled, but did not respond. Instead, he returned to reading, his fingers tracing the parchment as if seeking answers to unspoken questions. Elder stepped forward and placed a comforting hand on Aaron's shoulder. "My boy, we must talk," he said gently. "The village needs you." Aaron closed the tome with a heavy sigh and stood, his gaze lingering on the book for a moment before meeting Elder's eyes. "I know. I will be there shortly." As they left the cabin, Thorin turned to Elder. "He is troubled, Elder. We must find a way to help him. The fate of our world rests upon his shoulders. Elder nodded solemnly. I fear you are right. Perhaps there is something in the temple that could provide answers. We must go there at once. The two set off towards the village's temple, their steps heavy with concern for Aaron and the burden they carried. The ancient stone structure loomed before them, its tall spires reaching towards the heavens like outstretched fingers. Inside, the air was thick with incense and whispers of prayers. As they made their way through the dimly lit halls, they heard a faint sound, the clanking of metal against stone. Following it, they found themselves in a small chamber where an eerie light shone upon a figure hunched over a forge. Eamon, Elder exclaimed, his eyes wide with shock. What are you doing here? Eamon looked up, revealing a gaunt face and wild eyes. He stood, clutching the handle of a sword that seemed to hum with dark energy. I have come for the weapon, he spat. It is mine by right. Thorin stepped forward protectively, his hand on the hilt of his own weapon. Eamon, you are mad. This is not the weapon you seek. Silence. Eamon snarled, raising the sword higher. I have waited long enough for my destiny to be fulfilled. I will take what is rightfully mine, or I will destroy this world in my rage. Echoes of the ebon forge early morning sun rays pierced through the dense foliage of Ironwild Forest, casting dappled light upon the quaint village nestled within its embrace. The villagers stirred from their slumber, tending to daily chores, and preparing for the day ahead. However, a sense of unease lingered over the village as whispers of Eamon's arrival had reached even the furthest corners of the community. In Iron's forge, the artisan stood before his anvil, hammer in hand, pondering over the weapon he was meant to create, a sword of unparalleled power and malice. His eyes drifted towards the small pouch containing the cursed weapon's essence, a constant reminder of his destiny and the weight that rested upon his shoulders. Thorin stood nearby, watching Aaron with concern etched upon his features. Aaron, he began, we must be cautious. Eamon is powerful, and we cannot underestimate him. I know, Thorin, Aaron replied, his voice laced with determination, but I will not let him claim what was meant for me. As they spoke, the villagers gathered at the bustling centre of town, their faces a mix of fear and excitement as rumours swirled about the stranger who had arrived seeking the cursed weapon. Queen Kyla's agents moved among them, sowing discord and stirring up unrest, spreading word that Eamon was the true master of the weapon, a claim which only fueled the tension within the village. At the local tavern, the elder sat at a corner table, nursing a tankard of ale as he listened to the gossip flowing around him. He knew all too well the danger that lurked in their midst and understood the importance of finding a way to stop Eamon before it was too late. Inside Iron's home, the elder approached him with a sense of urgency in his eyes. He said, "We have no time to waste. I fear that Eamon will not stop until he possesses the weapon. Then we must act swiftly," Aaron replied, determination etched upon his face. With Thorin at his side, they set out towards the village square, where a crowd had gathered around Eamon and his dark sword. The burly man stood before them, the cursed weapon gleaming wickedly in his grip, as he addressed the villagers. "I am Eamon," he declared, "and I am here to claim what is rightfully mine." Aaron's eyes narrowed as he stepped forward, a fire burning within him. "You stand on false pretenses, Eamon," he said. "This weapon was meant for me." As the confrontation escalated, Kayla's agents moved among the crowd, fanning the flames of discord and chaos, striving to turn the villagers against Aaron and Thorin. The tension grew palpable as the two sides faced off, each determined to prove their right to the weapon. In the midst of the chaos, the elder stood watch at a distance, his gaze locked onto the cursed weapon as he contemplated his next move. He knew that the time for subtlety had passed. It was now or never if they hoped to save the village and the world from Eamon's grasp. With a sudden burst of energy, Aaron lunged towards Eamon, engaging in a fierce duel that sent shockwaves throughout the crowd. As the two clashed steel on steel, the villagers looked on in awe, their eyes wide with fear and anticipation as they watched the battle unfold. Thorin took advantage of the distraction to confront Kayla's agents, striking swiftly and decisively, disarming them one by one. The crowd began to shift, their loyalty swaying towards Aeron and Thorin as the truth about Queen Kaila's machinations came clear. Aemon, however, proved a formidable opponent, his dark energy fueling his strength and determination. As the battle raged on, Aeron struggled to overcome the weight of Aemon's power, the cursed weapon's essence pulsating menacingly in his grasp. In the midst of the chaos, the elder made his move. With a swift motion, he snatched the small pouch containing the cursed weapon's essence from Aemon's belt, the artifact's power surging through him as he did so. The crowd gasped in shock as the elder held the essence aloft, the weight of its malevolent energy almost overwhelming him. Aemon roared in fury, his grip on his sword tightening as he lunged towards the elder, intent on reclaiming the essence and regaining control over the weapon. However, Thorin stepped between them, shielding the elder with his own body, a fierce determination burning within him. As Aemon's dark energy slammed into Thorin, the warrior staggered but did not falter. Instead, he used the impact to launch himself towards Aemon, driving the burly man back with a powerful strike that left him reeling. With a final, desperate effort, Aeron seized the opportunity to disarm Aemon, the cursed weapon clattering to the ground as the crowd erupted in cheers. In the aftermath of the battle, Aeron knelt before the elder, his eyes filled with gratitude and relief. "Thank you," he breathed, his voice barely audible. "We are not out of danger yet," the elder replied, a sense of urgency in his voice. "Aemon will not give up easily. We must find a way to destroy this weapon once and for all." As they stood together, united in their resolve, Aeron knew that their journey was far from over. The battle against Queen Kaila and the cursed weapon would continue, but with the support of his friends and the villagers, he felt a newfound sense of hope. The sun set on Ironwild Forest as Aeron, Thorin, the elder, and the villagers looked towards the future, their hearts filled with determination to protect their world from the darkness that threatened to consume it. The cursed weapon lay dormant at their feet, its power contained for now, but the true test still lay ahead. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the quaint village, nestled within Ironwild Forest. A hush fell upon its inhabitants as whispers of Queen Kaila's ambition to claim the cursed weapon spread like wildfire. The blacksmith's forge lay abandoned, Aeron's absence a palpable void. Thorin, his heart heavy with worry, sat in the local tavern, nursing a mug of ale. He scanned the room, searching for answers. In a corner, an elder clutched a worn tome, poring over its pages. The air grew thick with tension as villagers huddled together, whispering fearfully about the weapon and the danger it posed. Thorin called out the burly man who served as village guardian. "I found something I think you should see." The seasoned warrior followed him to a small room hidden behind the tavern, where the elder awaited them. The old man presented an open tome, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and runes. "This," he began solemnly, "is a record of our village's history. There are many tales within these pages, but there is one I think you must hear." He pointed to a passage that spoke of a great weapon forged by an ancient civilization to combat an evil force. "Our village was founded by the descendants of the very artisans who crafted this weapon," the elder continued. "It was meant to be kept hidden away from prying eyes." He paused, looking at Thorin with a furrowed brow. "I fear that weapon has returned and lies dormant in your friend's forge." Thorin's heart raced as he imagined the danger Aeron faced. He knew they must act quickly to secure the cursed weapon before Queen Kaila could find it. He thanked the elder, promising to do everything in his power to protect their village and its people. Leaving the tavern behind, Thorin set out towards Aeron's forge, determined to bring back the blacksmith and destroy the weapon once and for all. As he journeyed through the village, he encountered Aemon, who had been driven from the temple by its priests. The man sneered at Thorin, his eyes burning with anger and despair. "You won't get far," Aemon snarled. "I will find a way to claim what is rightfully mine." Thorin ignored him, forging ahead with renewed determination. Upon reaching the forge, he found it empty, save the cursed weapon lying dormant on an anvil. His heart sank as he realized that Aeron was missing. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest beyond. Thorin drew his sword and prepared for battle, knowing full well the danger lurking within the trees. As shadows danced upon the ground, he steeled himself for what lay ahead. Echoes of the ebon forge in the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest. Whispers echoed through the narrow cobblestone streets. The local tavern served as a hub of gossip and fear, with villagers discussing Queen Kayla's ambition for a cursed weapon rumoured to lie dormant in Iron's forge. Thorin sat alone at a table, sipping ale, his eyes scanning the room. His heart pounded with worry for his friend's well-being and the fate of the cursed weapon. An elder approached him hesitantly, clutching an open tome in trembling hands. "I found this," the elder whispered. "It may help you." Thorin took the tome, scanning its ancient pages. The book spoke of a powerful sword forged by the hands of a long-lost civilization, bound to a cursed weapon's essence. The sword was said to have unparalleled power and malice, capable of destroying worlds if left uncontrolled. "Aeron has the key," he muttered under his breath, his eyes narrowing in determination. "I must find him." The elder looked on anxiously as Thorin rose from the table. "Be careful, young one," the elder warned. "Queen Kayla's agents are everywhere." Outside, a burly man approached Thorin with concern etched across his weathered features. The village guardian had served for decades and knew every corner of Ironwild Forest. He offered to guide Thorin through the forest, increasing their chances of finding Iron before Queen Kayla's agents did. Together they set off, the path leading up the hill towards Aeron's home. The forest seemed alive with whispers and shadows, the air thick with tension. As they approached the village square, a commotion erupted as villagers screamed and ran for cover. Queen's agents had arrived. Thorin and the Guardian fought valiantly against the agents, but their numbers seemed endless. The Guardian fell, struck down by an unknown assailant. As Thorin continued to fight, he found himself surrounded by agents. "Aeron," he called out into the chaos. "I need your help," but there was no answer. Despair washed over him as he realized his friend may already have fallen to Queen Kayla's grasp. In Iron's forge, Eamon paced anxiously. He had been driven from the temple by its priests after attempting to claim the cursed weapon for himself. The essence pouch clutched in his hand. He knew that time was running out. If Queen Kayla claimed the weapon first, she would have unlimited power and could rule all realms. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the forge as Thorin burst in, battered and bruised from his battle against Queen Kayla's agents. "Eamon," he gasped. "We have to leave now. Queen Kayla is closing in." Together they fled the forge, leaving behind Aeron and their precious weapon. In the village square, Iron emerged from hiding, watching as chaos erupted all around him. His heart ached with grief for his fallen friend and guardian, but he knew he couldn't stay. He had to protect his forge, his home, and the cursed weapon at all costs. The sun had set, casting eerie shadows across the quaint village nestled within the Ironwild Forest. A hush fell over the place as whispers of Queen Kayla's agents spread like wildfire. Eamon, covered in wounds and weary, stumbled into a local tavern where he found Thorin nursing his own injuries. "You're alive," Thorin said, relief evident in his voice. "I heard about what happened at the temple." Eamon nodded grimly. "I couldn't stop them. They took something from the elder, I fear. A forbidden artifact." Thorin's eyes narrowed. "The cursed weapon?" "It seems so," Eamon replied, his voice barely audible. "They have it now, and Queen Kayla will stop at nothing to claim its power." A burly man who had been listening in on their conversation approached them. "The village guardian, I've been keeping an eye out for you too," he said gruffly. "But the Queen's agents are everywhere now. We can't stay here much longer." Thorin nodded, his mind racing as he weighed their options. He knew that if Kayla got her hands on the weapon, it could mean disaster for the entire kingdom. "We need to find Aeron," he said decisively. "He may have information about where they took the artifact." The Guardian grunted in agreement. "I know a small room hidden behind the tavern. We can regroup there and plan our next move." As they made their way through the village, Thorin couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. He had to find Aeron, stop Kayla, and uncover the truth about the cursed weapon before it was too late. But first, he needed to assemble a team strong enough to take on Queen Kayla and her agents. In the small room hidden behind the tavern, Thorin, Eamon, and the Guardian strategized. They knew that they couldn't confront Kayla alone. The Queen had powerful allies and resources at her disposal. But as they spoke, a newcomer arrived. "I heard there were strangers discussing matters of great importance," said a familiar voice. Euron stepped into the room, his eyes filled with determination. "You seek information about the cursed weapon." Thorin's heart pounded in his chest as he looked at Euron. He knew that the blacksmith was hiding something, but he also sensed a fierce determination within him. "We need your help," Thorin said, choosing his words carefully. "Together we can stop Queen Kayla and save our kingdom." Euron hesitated for a moment before nodding. "I will join you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I warn you, my past is fraught with darkness. If the weapon's power is unleashed, it could consume us all." Thorin nodded solemnly, knowing that they would need to tread carefully if they hoped to succeed in their mission. The fate of the kingdom rested on their shoulders, and the stakes had never been higher. As the group prepared to leave the village, Thorin couldn't help but wonder what awaited them in the Ironwild forest. He knew that danger lurked around every corner, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Euron by his side, they would stand a chance against Queen Kayla and her agents. The path leading up the hill was treacherous, filled with twists and turns that made it difficult for them to keep their bearings. But as they journeyed deeper into the forest, Thorin felt a renewed sense of purpose. He would do whatever it took to save the kingdom and bring justice to those who sought to use the cursed weapon for their own gain. As they neared their destination, Thorin heard the distant sound of battle. He quickened his pace, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he prepared for combat. When they reached the clearing where Queen Kayla's agents stood guard, he knew that it was time to make a stand. The fight was fierce and brutal, but Thorin refused to back down. With Eamon and the Guardian at his side, he fought with every ounce of strength he had within him. They battled through wave after wave of Queen Kayla's agents, determined to reclaim the cursed weapon before it fell into her hands. In the heat of battle, Thorin felt a strange connection to Euron. He sensed that there was more to the blacksmith than met the eye, and he couldn't shake the feeling that their destinies were intertwined in some way. As they fought side by side, he knew that they would need to trust each other if they hoped to overcome the challenges that lay ahead. When the dust settled and the battle was won, Thorin turned to Euron with newfound respect. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with relief. "But we must find the weapon before Queen Kayla can claim its power." Euron nodded grimly. "I have a feeling that I know where it might be hidden," he said cryptically. "Follow me." As they made their way deeper into the Ironwild forest, Thorin couldn't help but marvel at Euron's knowledge of the land. He seemed to know every secret path and hidden grove, and he moved through the forest with a grace that belied his reclusive nature. When they reached an ancient temple, Euron paused for a moment before speaking. "This is where I forged the weapon," he said softly. "But it was taken from me long ago." Thorin looked at him curiously. "Why did you make such a powerful weapon?" he asked. Euron sighed, his eyes filled with sadness. "It was a mistake," he said quietly. "I thought I could control its power, but it proved too great for me to handle. That's why I hid it away, hoping that it would never be found." As they entered the temple, Thorin felt a strange sensation wash over him. He knew that he was standing in the presence of something ancient and powerful. And as he looked at Euron, he couldn't shake the feeling that their fates were somehow linked to this cursed weapon. Inside the temple, they found the weapon resting on an altar. It was a sword of unparalleled power and malice, its blade glowing with an eerie light. Thorin could feel its presence calling out to him, urging him to take it up and wield its power. But he knew that doing so would come at a terrible price. He had seen firsthand the destruction that such a weapon could bring, and he couldn't bear the thought of unleashing it on the kingdom. Instead, he turned to Euron. "We can't let this fall into the wrong hands," he said firmly. "We must destroy it." Euron nodded solemnly. Together, they approached the weapon, determination etched on their faces. As they reached out to touch it, Thorin felt a surge of power unlike anything he had ever experienced before. He knew that this was the moment of truth, and he steeled himself for what lay ahead. With a final, desperate effort, they destroyed the cursed weapon. As its essence dissipated into nothingness, Thorin felt a sense of relief wash over him. They had saved the kingdom, but at a terrible cost. The power of the weapon had left them both drained, and they knew that they would need time to recover. As they made their way back to the village, Thorin looked at Aeron with newfound respect. He knew that he couldn't have done it without him, and he vowed to stand by his side as they faced whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they had saved the kingdom, but their journey was far from over. In the days that followed, Thorin and Aeron set about rebuilding their lives. The villagers welcomed them back with open arms, grateful for their bravery in defeating Queen Kayla's agents and destroying the cursed weapon. As they worked to repair the damage caused by the battle, Thorin couldn't shake the feeling that their destinies were still intertwined in some way. One day, as they sat together by the river, Aeron spoke softly. "I owe you a debt of gratitude," he said quietly, "for saving me from myself and the cursed weapon." Thorin looked at him curiously. "There's something I need to tell you," he said hesitantly, "about my own past." Aeron listened attentively as Thorin revealed his secrets, his heart filled with empathy for the warrior's pain. When he finished speaking, there was a long moment of silence between them. Then Aeron reached out and took Thorin's hand. "We are bound together now," he said solemnly. "Whatever challenges lie ahead, we will face them side by side." As they stood there, looking out over the peaceful river, Thorin knew that their lives would never be the same again, but he also felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had faced his demons and come out on the other side, and he knew that he was stronger for it. With Aeron by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And as the sun set over the Ironwild forest, Thorin couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. He knew that their journey was far from over, but he also knew that they had faced their darkest fears and emerged victorious. Together, they would stand strong against whatever challenges lay ahead, and they would continue to fight for justice and peace in their kingdom. And so, as the sun set on another day, Thorin and Aeron stood together, united by their shared pasts and their determination to make a better future for themselves and their world. They were forgers of destinies, shapers of history, and warriors of light in a realm where darkness threatened to consume all. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun set behind the Ironwild forest as the trio trudged through its dense foliage. The air was thick with tension, the weight of their mission pressing down on them like an oppressive shroud. Eamon's injuries healed faster than expected, a testament to the weapon's power that now lay destroyed within the ancient temple. "I can sense the essence still lingering," Aeron murmured, his eyes scanning the shadows. "We must be careful." "I agree," Thorin replied, glancing back at the path they had travelled. Kayla's agents were relentless in their pursuit, and he knew it would only be a matter of time before they caught up with them. The trees parted to reveal a small clearing, and within it stood an ancient temple, its stone walls covered in intricate carvings depicting battles long forgotten. A sense of foreboding washed over Aeron as he stepped closer. "This is where the weapon was forged," Eamon said, his voice barely audible. "The legends speak of a powerful artisan who sealed the weapon away. And now it has been unleashed once more," Thorin added, surveying the temple's entrance. "We must be cautious, but also swift. If Kayla gets her hands on that weapon, the realm will be plunged into darkness." As they ventured deeper into the temple, the air grew colder, the walls whispering secrets long lost to time. Eamon's eyes gleamed with determination as he led them through the labyrinthine corridors, his steps deliberate and steady. They soon reached a chamber filled with open tomes, their pages yellowed by time yet still brimming with knowledge. "I sense it here," Eamon said, his voice barely audible. "The weapon's essence is hidden within one of these books." Aeron closed his eyes, focusing on the faint echoes of power that hummed through the air. After a moment, he pointed to a large tome in leather and adorned with gold filigree. Carefully they approached it, their hearts pounding in anticipation. This must be it, Eamon breathed as he opened the book, revealing an empty space where a small pouch lay hidden. The essence of the weapon. Iron took the pouch, his fingers brushing against the ancient parchment that surrounded it. A sudden surge of power coursed through him, and he stumbled back, clutching at his chest as visions of a long-lost civilization flooded his mind. "Aaron," Thorin called out, rushing to his side. "What's happening?" Aaron gasped for breath, his eyes wide with realization. "I am the weapon, created by these people to combat an ancient evil." Thorin frowned, studying Aaron's face. "Then why were you sealed away?" "They feared my power," Aaron replied, shaking his head. "I must learn to control it before Kayla claims it for her own." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the trio left the temple and set off towards the village. The weight of their newfound knowledge bore down on them, a heavy burden that threatened to crush them beneath its weight. But they pressed onward, determined to protect the realm from Kayla's grasp. "We must be careful," Aaron said, his voice barely audible. "The essence is still within me, and I fear it will draw her to us." Thorin nodded, glancing back at the temple as they walked. "I won't let that happen. We'll find a way to protect you, Aaron. Together we will face whatever comes our way." The journey back to the village was long and fraught with danger, but they persevered, driven by their shared determination and the weight of the mission before them. They arrived at the tavern just as darkness fell, their hearts heavy with anticipation and fear of what lay ahead. The cursed weapon may have been destroyed, but its essence still lingered within Aaron, a constant reminder of the battle yet to come. As they settled into the small room behind the tavern, Thorin leaned against the wall, his eyes never leaving Aaron's face. "We'll find a way," he whispered. "I promise." The quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest hummed with life, its cobblestone streets filled with merchants and villagers hustling to and fro. The local tavern was a hub of activity, the burly man who served as village guardian standing watch at the entrance. Thorin sat in a dimly lit corner, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of Kayla's agents. He knew they were close and that Aaron could sense their presence as well. His heart raced as he clutched the small pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon tightly within his hands. Eamon slumped over a table, his once proud demeanor replaced by an air of defeat. The elder sat nearby, studying Eamon with concern etched on his face. "He'll be all right," Thorin reassured him, "but we need to find Aaron before Kayla does." The elder nodded grimly. "I've sent word to the priests at the temple. They are searching for the weapon and will inform us if they find any sign of it." Just then, a loud commotion erupted outside. The burly man who served as guardian rushed into the tavern, his face pale with fear. "The Queen's men. They've taken several villagers hostage," he gasped. "They demand the weapon and will kill those they capture if we do not comply." Thorin's eyes widened as he stood up, grabbing his sword from under the table. The elder looked at him with a pleading gaze. "You must protect Aaron," he said urgently, "and find a way to stop Kayla before it's too late." "Yeah." Echoes of the Ebenforge, the villagers' cries echoed through the Ironwild Forest, punctuated by Queen Kayla's agents barking orders and demanding the cursed weapon. The local tavern's entrance was blocked by a burly man, a village guardian, who stood with crossed arms. Thorin approached cautiously, noticing the tension in the air as he gripped his sword tightly. "What's going on here?" he demanded, glaring at the guardian. The man glanced over his shoulder before replying. "The Queen's men took several villagers hostage. They want the weapon." A cold sweat dripped down Thorin's brow as he raced towards the village square. He knew that Aaron would never stand for this and braced himself for a battle. The village had always been peaceful, but with Kayla's ambition threatening their safety, it was time to confront her forces head-on. As Thorin entered the bustling center of the village, he found Eamon standing tall amidst the chaos, his eyes locked onto Queen Kayla's agents as they surrounded him. With a fierce determination burning in his gaze, Aaron prepared himself for battle. Thorin lunged forward, engaging several of the Queen's men in a flurry of swings and parries. The air crackled with tension as the battle raged on, villagers watching from afar with bated breath. As the fight continued, Iron struggled to contain the power within him, knowing that his forged creations would not be safe if he let loose. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the village's temple. The elder emerged, panting heavily as he held a small pouch containing the cursed weapon's essence. Kayla's agents quickly noticed the elder and gave chase, weaving through the village's crowded streets in pursuit. Thorin turned to face his pursuers, knowing that the elder was in grave danger. He charged towards them, determined to protect him at all costs. The fight intensified as Thorin and Kayla's agents clashed once more, swords glinting in the dim light of the village. Eamon, now surrounded by Queen Kayla's men, bravely fought back, but it was clear he could not hold out for long. With a sense of urgency, Thorin broke free from his own pursuers and raced towards Eamon, sword held high. The two warriors stood side by side as they faced their common enemy, the air thick with tension. Together they fought back against Kayla's agents, determined to protect their friends and the cursed weapon. The battle raged on, the outcome uncertain. In a small room hidden behind the tavern, Iron struggled to maintain control over the cursed weapon's power. He felt it growing stronger within him, yearning for release. As he fought against its pull, he suddenly heard a crash from outside. Turning towards the noise, he saw the elder being dragged away by Kayla's men. With newfound determination, Aaron broke free from his restraints and ran towards the chaos unfolding in the village square. He knew that if the cursed weapon fell into Kayla's hands, all would be lost. As he reached the battle, he felt a surge of power coursing through him, the cursed weapon responding to his call. Iron swung the sword with unparalleled might, striking down several of Kayla's men in an instant. The air crackled around them as Eamon and Thorin fought back, their combined efforts pushing Kayla's agents towards retreat. With a final surge of power, Iron called forth his forged creations to join him on the battlefield. They stood side by side, ready to protect their maker and the village they loved. Together they faced the remaining forces of Queen Kayla, their united front unbreakable. As the final blow was struck, the villagers cheered in relief. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. With Iron now wielding the cursed weapon and its power growing stronger within him, they knew that more challenges lay ahead. But for now, they celebrated their victory and mourned those who had fallen during the fight. Eamon approached Thorin, his eyes heavy with sorrow. "We must regroup," he said, his voice barely audible above the cheers of the village. "Queen Kayla will not give up easily." Thorin nodded, a steely resolve in his gaze. "I know. We have to find that elder and discover what this curse truly is." With the battle won and their resolve strengthened, Thorin and Eamon set off towards the ancient temple, determined to uncover the truth about the cursed weapon and its connection to Iron's past. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they knew that more challenges awaited them, but they were ready to face whatever came next. The village's peace was shattered by the distant sound of hooves echoing through the forest, growing louder as Queen Kayla's agents neared. The villagers huddled together, their faces etched with fear and worry. Thorin stood tall amidst them, his gaze fixed on the approaching riders. In Iron's forge, the once reclusive blacksmith worked tirelessly, forging new weapons to aid in the defense of their home. His creations hummed with life, each one a testament to his unmatched skill. As the noise outside grew louder, he knew that the battle was not far off. Eamon, battered and bruised from the previous fight, stumbled into the village's temple, seeking refuge among its holy halls. The priests scowled at him, their eyes filled with suspicion as they turned their backs on the intruder. Eamon, desperate and defeated, pleaded for sanctuary. The elder emerged from his small room hidden behind the tavern, his heart heavy with worry. He had sensed danger approaching, and he knew that it was only a matter of time before Queen Kayla's agents found him. He made his way to Iron's forge, seeking answers and protection. As the riders approached the village square, they dismounted, their armor glinting menacingly in the sunlight. A burly man stepped forward, his eyes scanning the crowd before settling on Thorin. "We are here for the weapon," he growled. "Hand it over, or your people will suffer." The villagers trembled at the man's words, their eyes pleading with Thorin to protect them. Eamon, now standing beside him, spoke up, his voice filled with anger and desperation. "You won't find it here," he declared. "I took it from you once, and I will do so again if need be." The burly man sneered at Eamon, his eyes filled with contempt. "You are no match for us," he sneered, "but we'll enjoy breaking you all nonetheless." With that, the agents drew their swords, charging towards the villagers. Aaron, hearing the commotion, rushed out of his forge, his creations following close behind. He stood before the charging soldiers, his eyes locked on the burly man. "Leave now," he commanded, his voice cold and unyielding. "Or face the consequences." The burly man laughed at Aaron's words, his eyes filled with amusement. "A mere blacksmith?" he spat. "We shall see how much power you truly possess." The agents lunged forward, their swords flashing through the air as they attacked Aaron and his creations. Thorin fought valiantly alongside Eamon, pushing back the enemy forces with every ounce of strength he possessed. The villagers rallied around them, their spirits fueled by desperation and determination. The elder stood at Aaron's side, his eyes filled with hope as he watched the artisan wield his forged weapons with precision and skill. As the battle raged on, a sudden explosion rocked the village square, sending soldiers flying in all directions. The source of the blast was the ancient temple, now enveloped in flames. The priests emerged from its burning holes, their eyes filled with terror as they fled the scene. Eamon, recognizing the elder among them, called out to him. "The weapon, it's in the temple," he shouted over the chaos. With newfound determination, Aaron and the elder sprinted towards the burning building, Thorin close behind. Inside the temple, they found it ablaze, the air thick with smoke and heat. They pushed through the flames, their eyes searching for any sign of the cursed weapon. As they reached the inner sanctum, Aaron's heart raced as he felt a familiar presence there. The elder gasped at what lay before them, a small pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon, hidden within an ancient tome. Aaron reached for it, his hand trembling with anticipation and fear. As his fingers brushed against the pouch, a surge of energy coursed through him, sending shockwaves throughout the temple. The ground shook beneath them, the flames roaring higher as the ancient temple began to crumble around them. Aaron's eyes widened in terror as he realized the truth. He was irrevocably bound to the weapon, and its power threatened not only his life but the entire realm. Echoes of the Eben Forge as dawn broke over the quaint village, nestled within the Ironwild forest. Smoke rose from the still smouldering ruins of the local tavern and shops. The villagers gathered in the village square, their eyes heavy with sorrow and determination. Aaron stood amidst them, his gaze fixed on the remnants of his forge, now nothing more than a pile of ash and debris. "We must rebuild," he said gruffly, addressing the villagers who had managed to escape Queen Kyla's wrath. "The curse still looms, and we cannot let our guard down." A woman stepped forward from the crowd, her regal bearing unmistakable. Kyla, adorned in fine silks and golden jewelry, sneered at Aaron. "You think you can stand against me?" she jeered. "Your pitiful village will soon bow to my rule." Aaron's eyes narrowed, the weight of his newfound power heavy upon him. He knew that Kyla was not bluffing. Her agents had already taken several villagers hostage, demanding the cursed weapon in exchange for their lives. Thorin, standing behind Aaron, gritted his teeth as he watched Kyla's men surround the temple at the edge of the village. The burly man who served as the village guardian stepped forward, a determined look on his face. "We will not give in to her demands," he declared. Eamon, recovering from his injuries, approached Aaron, his eyes filled with fear. "The priests said that only one who is bound to the weapon can wield its power," he whispered urgently. "They believe I am the chosen one." Aaron hesitated, torn between his duty to protect the villagers and the truth about his own origins. The sword of unparalleled power and malice, the cursed weapon, had bound itself to him, and he could no longer ignore its call. In the small room hidden behind the tavern, the elder lay unconscious, the essence of the cursed weapon still pulsating faintly within him. As Aaron approached, he could feel the power coursing through his veins, a torrent of energy that threatened to consume him. "No," Aaron murmured, his hand trembling as he reached for the small pouch containing the weapon's essence. "I will not become your slave." With a surge of strength, Iron wrenched the pouch from the elder, the power within it lashing out at him like a whip. He gasped, struggling to maintain control as the cursed weapon sought its master. "Aaron," Thorin called, his voice filled with concern. "What have you done?" "I cannot ignore this any longer," Aaron replied, his eyes burning with determination. "The time has come for me to face my past and embrace my destiny." As the sun set over the Ironwild forest, a new chapter in the battle against the cursed weapon began. Aemon had been driven from the temple by its priests, leaving the weapon's power unclaimed. Queen Kayla's agents closed in on the village, their demands growing more insistent with each passing moment. In his forge, Aaron worked feverishly, shaping and molding a new weapon, one that would stand against the forces of darkness that threatened his world. The cursed weapon whispered to him, its voice a siren's call that tempted him to surrender to its power, but Aaron was not so easily swayed, and he forged on, determined to save his village and uncover the truth about the curse. As the stars twinkled above, the villagers gathered at the edge of the village, their spirits high despite the danger that loomed. They had faced adversity before, and they would do so again. Together, they stood united against Queen Kayla's ambition, prepared to defend their home and their lives against all odds. In the darkness, Aaron completed his work, a new weapon forged from fire and despair. He gazed upon it, feeling the power coursing through him like a river. The time had come for him to face Kayla and her agents, to claim the cursed weapon and bring an end to the chaos that threatened his world. And so, as the moon cast its silvery light upon the quaint village nestled within the Ironwild forest, Aaron and Thorin prepared to confront Queen Kayla's forces. The battle for their world was about to begin, and they would not rest until they had vanquished the darkness that sought to consume them all. As tensions rise between Aaron and his allies, Kayla sends her agents to infiltrate the village in search of the cursed weapon. The burly man who serves as the village guardian senses their arrival, alerting the villagers. The local tavern buzzes with nervous energy as the villagers prepare for battle. Aaron stands at his anvil, the essence of the cursed weapon pulsating in his hand. He feels a connection to this power that he can't ignore, but he knows it could consume him if he doesn't control it. He turns to Thorin, who seems distant and tense, and says, "We must work together if we are to defeat Kayla." "But I fear the weapon may be too much for me to handle." Thorin nods, his gaze fixed on Aaron with a determined look. "I am sworn to protect you, Aaron. Together, we'll find a way to harness this power and save our realm from Kayla's grasp." Meanwhile, Queen Kayla's agents move through the village undetected, watching and waiting for their chance to strike. The village elder, sensing something amiss, calls an emergency meeting at the temple. The villagers gather, discussing strategies and preparing for the imminent attack. Aemon approaches Aaron with a worried expression. "I feel the power of the weapon growing stronger within me, but the priests at the temple say it's not mine to wield." Aaron looks sympathetically at Aemon. The curse has twisted everything it touches. "We must find a way to break free from its grasp and restore balance to our realm." Echoes of the Ebon Forge. The sun had barely risen, bathing the quaint village nestled within Ironwild forest in a warm golden glow. The local tavern stood at the heart of the bustling centre, where villagers gathered for news and shared stories. Aaron stood by his anvil, eyes closed as he worked on a new blade. "Aaron," Thorin's voice echoed softly from behind him. "We should talk." Aaron didn't respond immediately. He knew well the weight of Thorin's words. Their friendship was strained, and the tension between them weighed heavy on Aaron's heart. "I know," he finally said, still not turning around. "We both have much to discuss." As they sat at a small table near the tavern fireplace, Thorin hesitated before speaking. "Aemon has been acting strangely since his encounter with the weapon. He believes he's become stronger, more powerful." "I sense it too," Aaron admitted, finally meeting Thorin's gaze. "But I fear that power will consume him if we don't find a way to control it." "That's why I came to you," Thorin said, his voice steady and determined. "We need your help, Aaron." You're the only one who can forge weapons with sentient spirits, and I believe you're the key to controlling this power. Iron sighed, shaking his head. I don't know if I can do that, Thorin. The last time I forged a weapon, it nearly destroyed me. We have no other choice, Thorin insisted. If we allow Eamon to continue down this path, the consequences will be dire for us all. As their conversation continued, the village elder entered the tavern, looking grave. He approached them with a worried expression on his face. Aeron, he said solemnly, we have a problem. Queen Kayla's agents are closing in on the village. They seek the cursed weapon. The room fell silent as all three men exchanged glances, each knowing that their lives would never be the same if they failed to protect the weapon and the village. The sun had set, casting long shadows across the tavern floor as the villagers gathered around them, listening intently. We must act quickly, Iron said, standing up from his seat. Gather what weapons and supplies we can, and prepare for battle. The elder nodded, already summoning the village guardian to help organize the defense of their home. As Eamon entered the tavern, he overheard their conversation and his eyes narrowed with anger. I will not allow you to keep this weapon from me, he growled, drawing a weapon from his belt. It is mine by right. Thorin moved swiftly, disarming Eamon before the villagers could react. The tension in the room grew palpable as whispers and murmurs filled the air. We cannot afford to let our differences divide us, Thorin said firmly. If we are to protect this village, we must stand united against Queen Kayla's forces. As night fell, the villagers took up positions around the village, preparing for battle. The path leading up the hill was lit by torches, casting flickering shadows on the faces of those who stood ready to defend their home. In the small room hidden behind the tavern, Iron knelt before his anvil, eyes closed as he focused on the essence of the cursed weapon within the pouch. With a deep breath, he reached out with his magic, drawing forth the weapon's power and forging it into a new blade. As he worked, the room filled with a strange energy that seemed to hum in time with Iron's heartbeat. The villagers outside sensed something was amiss and looked towards the tavern, their eyes wide with fear. Eamon, having recovered his weapon, burst into the forge, determined to take the cursed weapon by force. But as he reached out to grab it, Iron's blade sprang to life, forcing him back with a fierce surge of energy. You cannot have this, Iron said, his voice filled with determination. I will not let it destroy us all. Outside, the village was under attack. Queen Kayla's agents had taken several villagers hostage and demanded the weapon in exchange for their safe return. As Thorin and the elder negotiated with the queen's men, they knew that time was running short. In the forge, Iron struggled against the power of the cursed weapon, his grip on it tenuous at best. The blade hummed with malice, threatening to consume him if he allowed it to grow stronger. You are weak, a voice spoke inside his mind, its tone cold and cruel. You will never be able to control me. Aeron fought against the weapon's influence, determined to stand strong. The village needed him, and he knew that if he failed, all would be lost. As dawn broke, the battle reached its climax. Thorin and the elder led the charge, driving back Queen Kayla's agents and freeing the hostages. Aeron stood beside them, his new blade held ready as they fought together to protect their home. With the queen's forces defeated, Iron knew that he must face the true challenge ahead. He could feel the power of the cursed weapon growing within him, threatening to consume him if he didn't find a way to control it. As the sun rose over the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, Iron stood alone in his forge, the cursed weapon resting on his anvil. He knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he was determined to save himself and his world from the weapon's malevolent influence. The sun rose on a tense day in the quaint village nestled within the heart of Ironwild Forest. Iron and Thorin stood atop a hill, gazing out over their homes with anxious eyes. The village bustled with activity below as its people prepared for the coming confrontation. A sense of urgency filled the air as Queen Kayla's agents were closing in on them, seeking the cursed weapon. We must do something, Thorin said, his voice heavy with concern. The villagers are terrified, and the Queen's men have taken several hostages. We cannot let this continue. Iron clenched his fists, feeling the power of the cursed weapon coursing through him. He knew that he had to control it before it consumed him. "I've been trying," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But it's not easy. I fear that I may be losing myself in this process." Thorin reached out and placed a hand on Iron's shoulder. "We will find a way, I promise you that," he said firmly. "Together, we can overcome this. But first, we must rally the villagers to stand against Queen Kyla's forces." Aeron nodded, his resolve hardening. Together, they descended from the hill, entered the village square, where the people had gathered in a show of unity. Aemon stood at the center, a proud look on his face as he addressed them. "I have the power to protect you all," he declared, brandishing the cursed weapon with a menacing glare. "With this sword, we can defeat Queen Kyla and her agents once and for all." The villagers recoiled at Aemon's words, their eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. Aeron stepped forward, his heart heavy with sadness. "Aemon," he said softly, trying to keep the anger from his voice, "we cannot let this weapon control us. It is a tool of destruction, not salvation." "Nonsense," Aemon scoffed. "I am stronger than you, Aeron. With this power at my side, I will rule over our world and bring peace to all who follow me." Aeron felt a surge of anger rising within him, but he forced himself to remain calm. He knew that if he let his emotions take control, he would lose himself in the cursed weapon's malevolent power. "This is not about ruling over others," he said firmly. "It's about protecting our home and stopping Queen Kyla from claiming this weapon for her own nefarious purposes." The villagers murmured among themselves, their fear giving way to hope. Aemon scowled, his eyes flashing with anger. "You don't know what you're talking about," he spat. "I am the only one who can wield this weapon effectively. If you stand against me, you stand against your own salvation." As the tension between Aeron and Aemon grew, the village elder stepped forward. "Enough," he thundered, his voice echoing through the square. "This bickering will accomplish nothing. We must unite if we are to survive this ordeal." He turned to Aeron. "I have seen the power of this weapon firsthand, and I know that it is a dangerous tool in the wrong hands. But I also believe that you, Aeron, have the strength to control it and use it for good." Aemon sneered at the elder's words, but the villagers around them nodded in agreement. "I will not stand idly by while this weapon is used to bring harm to our people," the elder continued. "We must find a way to stop Queen Kyla and her agents before they can claim it." Aeron felt a surge of gratitude toward the elder, but he knew that their struggle was far from over. The Queen's men were closing in, and time was running out. With a determined look on his face, he turned to Thorin. "We have no choice but to fight," he said grimly. "We must defend our home and protect the cursed weapon from falling into Kyla's hands." Thorin nodded, his own resolve unyielding. Together they rallied their people, preparing for the coming battle. As the sun began to set, the villagers took up arms, ready to defend their homes against Queen Kyla's forces. The air was thick with tension, and the forest seemed to hold its breath as the two sides stood facing each other across the village square. Aeron felt the power of the cursed weapon within him, burning like a fire in his soul. He knew that he must control it if they were to have any hope of victory. Closing his eyes, he focused on the forge, envisioning the heat and flames that had once guided him as he crafted sentient weapons. With a deep breath, he reached out with his mind, feeling the power coursing through him like molten metal. Slowly he began to shape it, forming it into a weapon that would serve their needs in this battle. The villagers watched in awe as the cursed weapon took on a new form, its malevolent energy tempered by Aeron's will. When at last it was finished, he turned to face Queen Kyla's agents, who were approaching with menacing intent. The battle that followed was fierce and brutal, but the villagers fought with courage and determination. Aeron wielded the cursed weapon with skill and precision, striking fear into the hearts of Queen Kyla's forces. Thorin fought beside him, protecting him from harm and keeping the people safe. As the night wore on, it became clear that they would emerge victorious. But even as the Queen's agents retreated, Aeron knew that their troubles were far from over. The cursed weapon's power was a double-edged sword, and he feared what it might cost him in the end. He turned to Thorin, his eyes filled with worry. We must find a way to control this power, he said urgently, before it consumes me. Thorin nodded, his own gaze filled with determination. I will help you, Iron, he vowed. Together, we will uncover the truth about your origins and learn how to control this weapon without letting it consume you. Iron felt a sense of relief wash over him, but he knew that their journey was far from over. As the sun rose on another day in the quaint village, nestled within Ironwild Forest, they stood atop the hill once more, gazing out over their homes with hope and determination in their hearts. They had survived this battle, but many more lay ahead. And together, they would face them all, no matter what it took to protect their world. As the villagers began to rebuild, Iron and Thorin set out to uncover the truth about his past and learn how to control the cursed weapon's power. Along the way, they faced new challenges and made difficult choices, but their friendship remained strong, and they never lost sight of their goal, to save their world from darkness and destruction. But even as they journeyed deeper into the heart of Ironwild Forest, danger lurked in the shadows. The ancient temple held secrets that could either save or destroy them all, and Iron's struggle with the cursed weapon's power only grew more intense. As they approached the temple, they knew that their fate was about to be decided once and for all. The temple loomed over them like a dark spectre, its ancient stones whispering tales of long-forgotten battles and lost civilizations. Iron felt a sense of unease as they entered its hallowed halls, but he knew that they had no choice if they were to uncover the truth about his origins. As they delved deeper into the temple, they encountered strange creatures and puzzles that tested their wits and strength. At last, they reached a chamber filled with powerful artifacts, among them an open tome that seemed to call out to Iron. He approached it cautiously, feeling the power of the cursed weapon pulsing within him. As he opened the tome, he felt as though a veil was lifted from his eyes, and memories flooded back to him like a torrent. He saw visions of a time before the village, before the Ironwild Forest, when a long-lost civilization had forged him and the cursed weapon to combat an ancient evil. He learned that he was created as a guardian, bound to the weapon to protect their world from the forces of darkness that threatened to consume it. And he discovered that the only way to control the weapon's power was to embrace his destiny and confront the ancient evil that had been unleashed once more. As Iron stood in the chamber, surrounded by the remnants of a long-lost civilization, he knew that his journey had only just begun. He turned to Thorin, his gaze filled with determination. "We must find a way to stop this ancient evil," he said firmly. "Together, we will save our world from destruction." Thorin nodded, his own eyes shining with determination. "I am with you, Iron," he said solemnly. "Whatever lies ahead, I will stand by your side and help you overcome it." With that, they left the temple and set out on a new quest, one that would lead them to the heart of darkness itself. As they journeyed deeper into the depths of Ironwild Forest, they knew that they were in for the fight of their lives. But they also knew that together, they could overcome any obstacle and save their world from ruin. And so, as the sun set on another day in the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, Iron and Thorin stood atop a hill, gazing out over their homes with hope and determination in their hearts. They had faced many challenges along the way, but they had come out stronger for it. And they knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, united by their friendship and bound by their shared destiny. As they stood there hand in hand, Iron felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that he was no longer alone, that he had found a friend who would stand by his side through thick and thin, and he knew that together they could overcome any obstacle and save their world from the darkness that threatened to consume it. And as the sun set on another day in the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, Iron felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. He had come so far since he first unearthed the cursed weapon, but his journey was far from over, and with Thorin by his side, he knew that he could face whatever lay ahead, no matter how daunting the challenge might be. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the quaint village nestled within the heart of the Ironwild Forest. Tensions ran high, the air thick with anticipation and fear. Aaron stood at the entrance to his forge, hammer gripped tightly in his hand. He looked out across the village square, eyes searching for any sign of Queen Kayla's agents. Thorin sat nearby, leaning against a shop wall, his sword at the ready. The seasoned warrior knew that Aeron's struggle with the cursed weapon was far from over, and was determined to help him regain control. His gaze shifted between the villagers who huddled together, and the path leading up the hill where he knew Kayla's men would soon appear. Inside the village tavern, Eamon paced back and forth, muttering to himself about his claim on the weapon. He had been driven from the temple by its priests who believed him unworthy of wielding such power. His obsession with the cursed sword was becoming a dangerous distraction for both sides. Aeron sensed Eamon's presence and turned towards the tavern, his eyes narrowing. The tension between them had reached a boiling point, and he knew that if they were to succeed, they would need to find a way to put their differences aside. In a small room hidden behind the tavern, the village elder gathered a group of villagers. "We must stand united," he said, his voice firm yet filled with empathy. "Our lives and the fate of our village hang in the balance." The villagers nodded solemnly, their faces etched with determination. As Aeron approached the tavern, he could hear laughter and music drifting out from within. The burly man who served as the village guardian stood outside, a worried expression on his face. "The Queen's men are close," he warned, glancing nervously towards the path. Aeron stepped inside, his eyes scanning the crowded room. Eamon continued to pace back and forth, mumbling about his claim on the weapon. The elder stood nearby, watching with concern as the villagers grew more and more agitated. Suddenly the tavern door burst open, and a group of Queen Kayla's agents stormed in, weapons drawn. "Where is the cursed weapon?" one demanded, his voice cold and menacing. The villagers froze, their eyes wide with fear. Thorin sprang into action, drawing his sword and engaging the intruders. The fight was fierce, but the villagers rallied around him, their voices raised in defiance. Aeron watched from the entrance, his heart racing as he struggled to control the power of the cursed weapon surging within him. As the battle raged on, Kayla's agents took several villagers hostage and demanded the weapon. Aeron knew they couldn't give in. Surrendering the weapon would mean certain doom for their village and all those who called it home. He steeled himself, taking a deep breath as he stepped forward, ready to confront Kayla and her forces once and for all. The fight continued, with both sides refusing to back down. The villagers fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Aeron felt the power of the weapon surging within him, threatening to consume him whole. He knew he couldn't hold on much longer. In the midst of the chaos, a figure stepped forward. It was the elder, his face set in determination. "We will not give up our home without a fight," he declared, drawing a small pouch from his robes and holding it aloft. The cursed weapon's essence glowed brightly within it, catching everyone's attention. Aeron felt a surge of hope, but also fear. If he allowed the elder to use the weapon, would he lose control forever? He looked at Thorin, who nodded solemnly, his eyes filled with understanding and support. Together, they made their decision. The elder stepped forward, the essence pouch clutched tightly in his hand. "We will not give in to fear," he declared, throwing the pouch towards Kayla's agents. The cursed weapon's power erupted from the pouch, engulfing the intruders and sending them sprawling backwards. Aeron felt a sense of relief wash over him as Queen Kayla's forces retreated, taking their hostages with them. The villagers cheered, their relief palpable as they embraced one another, grateful to be alive. Aeron looked towards Thorin, his eyes filled with gratitude and determination. "We must find a way to control this power," he said, his voice steady. "Together, we will uncover the truth about my past and confront the ancient evil lurking within Ironwild Forest." In the quiet village nestled within the heart of Ironwild Forest, whispers of Queen Kayla's agents grow louder by the day. The villagers huddled together, their faces etched with determination and fear. The local tavern, usually bustling with laughter and camaraderie, is now a hub for discussions about the impending threat. Aeron sits at his usual spot near the hearth, working on repairs for a farmer's plough. He feels the power of the cursed weapon within him, a constant reminder of what awaits them all. His eyes flicker towards Thorin as they exchange concerned glances, their friendship strained by the growing tension surrounding them. Aaron, Thorin approaches him, lowering his voice to a whisper. We need to prepare. Queen Kyla's forces will be here soon. Aaron sighs deeply, his hands pausing mid-stroke. I know, but I can't just give them the weapon. It would mean our destruction. He glances towards the open doorway where Kyla's agents have been seen lurking. They took several villagers hostage, Thorin says grimly. We need to negotiate with them if we want our people back. Aaron nods, his eyes filled with determination. All right, but I won't give the weapon to them. He rises from his seat, heading towards the village elder who sits nearby. The burly man listens intently as Aaron explains their predicament. Meanwhile, in a small room hidden behind the tavern, Eamon paces back and forth, the cursed weapon's essence clutched tightly within his grasp. He laughs maniacally, convinced that he is destined for greatness. I will show them all, he mutters to himself. Outside, the village elder stands on the village square, addressing the gathered villagers. We must stand together, my friends. We have faced hardships before, and we shall do so again. Let us not give in to fear. As the village elder speaks, Queen Kayla's agents emerge from the shadows. They demand the cursed weapon or they will take more hostages. The villagers tremble with fear but refuse to give up their hope. The elder steps forward, his face stoic despite his racing heart. We will not give in to your demands, he says firmly. Our lives are our own and we will protect what is rightfully ours. The tension builds as both sides stare each other down, neither willing to back down. Aaron, Thorin, and the village elder huddle together, plotting their next move while keeping a wary eye on Queen Kayla's agents. The fate of the village rests in their hands, and they know that they must make a choice, give in to fear or stand strong against the darkness that threatens them all. As night falls, Aaron and Thorin sneak away from the village square, heading towards the ancient temple deep within the Ironwild forest. They need answers, and the only place to find them is hidden among the sacred relics of their ancestors. The journey is perilous, but they know that time is running out. Within the temple's dark halls, they uncover secrets long forgotten, clues to Aaron's past and the origin of the cursed weapon. Their hearts race as they decipher ancient scriptures, each revelation bringing them closer to understanding the true nature of their enemy. Back at the village, Queen Kayla's agents grow restless. They tighten their grip on their hostages, eager to force the villagers into submission. The elder's resolve remains unbroken, his gaze steady as he refuses to give up hope. In the depths of the ancient temple, Aaron and Thorin find a hidden chamber filled with weapons forged by their ancestors. They stand before an enormous anvil, the very same one used to create the cursed weapon. A sense of purpose fills them as they realize that they are destined to wield these powerful artifacts against the forces of darkness. Back in the village square, the villagers rally together, their resolve strengthened by the bravery of their leaders. They refuse to give up hope even when faced with certain doom. The elder calls for unity, and his people answer with a united roar. The battle that follows is fierce and brutal, but the villagers hold their ground. In the end, they emerge victorious, their spirits buoyed by their unbreakable bond. Aaron, Thorin, and the village elder stand tall among them, their friendship rekindled by the shared struggle. As dawn breaks over Ironwild Forest, Aaron looks upon his people with newfound respect. He knows that he must face the cursed weapon once more, but now he does so not out of fear or obligation, but because he has found a purpose greater than himself. We have fought hard, Eamon says, appearing behind them, but I am still stronger. You cannot stop me. Aaron looks into his old friend's eyes and sees the madness that has consumed him. With Thorin by his side, he draws upon the power of the ancient weapons, ready to face the darkness within himself and Eamon once and for all. The fate of the village, the cursed weapon, and their very lives hang in the balance as they stand on the precipice of a battle that will determine the course of history. Together, they will face the forces of darkness, united by friendship, determination, and hope. The journey has been long, but the road ahead promises to be even more treacherous. The villagers watch from afar, their hearts swelling with pride as their leaders stand against the darkness. They know that they cannot fight this battle alone, but together, they will face whatever lies ahead and come out stronger on the other side. And so the stage is set for a climactic showdown between Iron, Thorin, and Aemon, as the cursed weapon threatens to tear apart not only their village, but the very fabric of reality itself. The fate of all realms hangs in the balance, and the true test of friendship, courage, and power awaits them all. Episode 30 ends with a sense of foreboding, as Iron, Thorin, and Aemon prepare to face each other in a battle that will determine their destinies and the future of the realm. The villagers stand united, their spirits strong despite the darkness that looms ahead. Tension builds and the stakes have never been higher. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun sets, casting long shadows across the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest. The local tavern bustles with activity as villagers gather to exchange stories and news. Amidst the chatter, whispers of Queen Kayla's agents grow louder. They are closing in on the cursed weapon. Thorin sits at a table by himself, nursing a mug of ale, his eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. The elder stands nearby, keeping watch over him, a burly man who serves as the village guardian. "Aeron's not back yet," Thorin mutters, concern etched on his weathered face. "Something's off," the elder nods gravely. "I fear our friend has fallen into the clutches of Queen Kayla once more." Suddenly, a group of burly men dressed in armor and bearing weapons enter the tavern, their eyes scanning the patrons with cold intent. The villagers tense, lowering their voices and hiding any signs of fear. The leader of the men approaches Thorin's table, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "I hear you are once skilled in combat," he growls. "We seek Aeron. Hand him over, and we will let your village live in peace." Thorin stands, his eyes narrowing. "You won't find my friend here." The leader snarls and slams a fist on the table, causing ale to spill everywhere. "I suggest you reconsider. We have taken several hostages and their lives depend on your cooperation. You think I will give up Aeron so easily?" Thorin retorts, his voice laced with anger. The leader's smile widens menacingly. "Time is running out, warrior. Decide wisely." As the leader and his men turn to leave, Thorin exchanges a quick glance with the elder before following them outside. The villagers huddle together, fearful of the outcome. Inside Iron's forge, the blacksmith works tirelessly on the anvil, shaping the cursed weapon that has brought so much chaos to their lives. The essence within the pouch hums softly, its power growing stronger with each passing day. Aeron knows that he must embrace its full potential soon, but he fears the consequences of doing so. A sudden knock at the door startles him, and he quickly hides the weapon and the pouch behind a loose stone in the wall. He opens the door to find Aemon standing there, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "I've found it," Aemon declares, holding up the ancient tome. "This knowledge will give me the power I need to defeat Queen Kayla and claim the cursed weapon for myself." Aeron's heart aches at the sight of his former friend, now consumed by greed and lust for power. "You cannot win this way, Aemon," he warns. "The cursed weapon is not something to be wielded lightly," Aemon scoffs. "I am stronger than you, Iron. With this knowledge, I will become unstoppable." Anger flares within Iron as he watches his friend turn away from the path of righteousness. "You are wrong, Aemon. The weapon is a tool to be used wisely and with care, not for personal gain." Aemon's eyes narrow, and he lunges at Aeron, who quickly dodges and pins him against the wall. "I will not let you destroy this realm," Aeron growls, his voice low and threatening. "You must leave now." Aemon struggles against Aeron's grip, but the blacksmith's strength is too much for him. With a final shove, he pushes Aemon out of the forge and slams the door shut. Outside, Thorin and the elder wait nervously for news from within. The leader of Queen Kayla's men emerges from the forge, his face twisted in rage. "Aeron is not here," he growls, "but we will find him. If you value your villagers' lives, I suggest you tell us where to look." Thorin's eyes flash with defiance. "You won't find Aeron as long as I draw breath." The leader snarls and raises his weapon, threatening Thorin. The elder steps protectively in front of him, and the two stand their ground. Meanwhile, inside the forge, Aeron paces back and forth, his mind racing with thoughts of the cursed weapon's power and the danger it poses to those he cares about. He knows that he must confront its full might soon, but he fears the consequences for himself and the realm. As the hours pass, tension builds in the village as Queen Kayla's agents search for Iron and the cursed weapon. The villagers huddle together, praying for their safety and hoping that their friend can find a way to stop the Queen's ambition. Little do they know, deep within Ironwild Forest, Eamon has sought refuge in an ancient temple. There he studies the tome, his eyes glowing with newfound knowledge and power. As the sun sets on this fateful day, dark shadow looms over the realm, threatening to engulf all in its path. As twilight descends upon the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, the local tavern buzzes with tension. Eamon, driven by ambition and armed with the ancient tome, stands before the forge's anvil, a malicious glint in his eyes. "Aaron," he barks, "I demand you surrender the weapon." Eamon's words echo through the tavern, causing patrons to hush and listen intently. The village guardian, a burly man with a stern demeanor, steps forward to intervene. "Leave now," he growls at Eamon, his grizzled voice rumbling like thunder. Aaron's business is his own. Ignoring the guardian, Eamon presses on, his eyes never leaving Iron. Meanwhile, Thorin enters the village square, having sensed something amiss. He glances around cautiously before making a beeline for the tavern. As he approaches, Queen Kayla's agents emerge from the shadows, their eyes scanning the crowd for signs of Iron and the cursed weapon. Inside the tavern, the elder, an old woman with a wrinkled face and eyes that held centuries of wisdom, senses the danger brewing. She hurries to Iron's side, her voice trembling as she whispers, "My lord, I fear they are close." Aaron looks up from his work, his heart pounding in his chest. He glances around nervously before nodding to the elder. "Prepare the villagers," he commands, his eyes never leaving Eamon. "We must leave." As the elder rallies the villagers, Thorin arrives at the tavern door, his eyes wide with shock as he takes in the scene unfolding before him. Eamon's laughter fills the room. "You cannot hide forever, Iron. The weapon is yours no longer." Thorin steps into the tavern, his sword at the ready. "I will protect Iron and that accursed weapon with my life," he declares to Eamon and Queen Kayla's agents. A tense standoff ensues as the villagers huddle together in fear, whispering prayers to their gods for protection. The elder's voice rises above the din, urging her people to stay strong. Suddenly, a commotion erupts outside as Queen Kayla's men burst into the village square, taking several villagers hostage and demanding Iron's surrender. Eamon smirks, his eyes gleaming with greed. "Give me the weapon," snarls the leader of Queen Kayla's men, "or I'll kill these villagers." Aaron's grip tightens around the hilt of his hammer as he turns to face his enemy. The cursed weapon stirs within him, its malice palpable. "I will not let you harm them," Aaron declares, his voice steady despite the fear that gnaws at his insides. "Nor will I yield the weapon to you." The village stands at a crossroads, teetering on the brink of chaos and destruction. The weight of the cursed weapon threatens to tear Iron apart, even as he clings to hope that he can find a way to save his people and uncover the truth about the weapon's origins. But something deeper stirs within him, a connection to the weapon unlike anything he has ever felt before. As darkness gathers on the horizon, Iron wonders if this connection may hold the key to defeating the shadow that looms over his realm. And as he stands before Queen Kayla's agents and Eamon, he knows that he must make a choice: surrender to the weapon or fight for the future of his people and the balance of the realm. The tension in the village builds as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quaint buildings and narrow streets. Thorin stands watch over Iron, ready to defend him at all costs, while Queen Kayla's agents close in on their quarry. In the hidden room behind the tavern, the elder prepares a group of villagers for an escape plan, her eyes filled with determination and fear. Inside the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest, Eamon continues to study the tome, his ambition for power growing by the day. He believes that the weapon will make him unstoppable, and he cannot wait to wield it against his enemies, including Aaron and Queen Kayla. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure watches from the shadows, observing the events unfolding in the village with keen interest. This enigmatic observer holds secrets that could change everything, secrets that could tip the balance of power in this realm forever. As night falls and the village stands on the precipice of destruction, Aaron wrestles with his own doubts and fears. The weight of the weapon presses down upon him, threatening to consume him from within, but he knows that he cannot give in to despair, not now, not when so much is at stake. With a heavy heart, he makes a decision. He will confront Eamon, face the darkness within himself, and uncover the truth about the cursed weapon once and for all, for the fate of his realm depends on it. The village is plunged into darkness as nightfall descends. The air crackles with tension as Queen Kayla's agents close in on their quarry. In the hidden room behind the tavern, the elder prepares her people for an escape plan, one that may require sacrifice and courage beyond measure. Eamon continues his studies within the ancient temple, his ambition for power growing ever stronger. He believes that the weapon will make him unstoppable, and he cannot wait to wield it against his enemies, including Aaron and Queen Kayla. But as night falls and darkness descends upon the village, a mysterious figure watches from the shadows. This enigmatic observer holds secrets that could change everything, secrets that could tip the balance of power in this realm forever. Inside Aaron's forge, Thorin stands watch over Aaron, who is lost in thought as he contemplates his decision. The weight of the weapon presses down upon him, threatening to consume him from within, but he knows that he cannot give in to despair, not now, not when so much is at stake. With a heavy heart, Aaron rises from his workbench and faces Thorin. "I must confront Eamon," he says, his voice steady despite the fear that gnaws at his insides. "Together, we will uncover the truth about this cursed weapon." Thorin nods, a determined look in his eyes. "I'll be by your side every step of the way," he promises, sheathing his sword. As they leave the forge and venture into the night, Aaron wonders if this decision will lead to salvation or destruction. But one thing is certain: the fate of the realm hangs in the balance, and he cannot let fear hold him back any longer. In the days that follow, Aaron and Thorin embark on a perilous journey through Ironwild Forest, seeking out Eamon and the ancient temple where the cursed weapon was created. They encounter danger at every turn, from ferocious beasts to treacherous allies who seek to claim the weapon for their own nefarious purposes. But despite the challenges they face, Aaron remains steadfast in his determination to learn the truth and save his realm. As he delves deeper into the mysteries surrounding the cursed weapon, he begins to uncover secrets long buried beneath the sands of time. Meanwhile, Queen Kayla's agents continue their search for Aaron and the weapon, their hunger for power growing stronger by the day. But as they close in on their target, they too begin to uncover secrets that will change everything, secrets that could tip the balance of power in this realm forever. As the days turn into weeks, Aaron and Thorin find themselves drawn ever closer to the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest. But as they approach, they sense a dark presence lurking within, waiting for them with malevolent intent. With every step, the weight of the cursed weapon grows heavier upon Aaron's shoulders. He struggles to maintain control over its power, fearing that it may consume him from within. But he knows that he cannot turn now. The fate of his realm depends on him. Finally, they reach the ancient temple, its crumbling stone walls standing as a testament to the power and majesty of a long-lost civilization. As they enter, they are met with an eerie silence that chills them to the bone. Inside, they discover a hidden chamber containing the cursed weapon, a sword of unparalleled power and malice, its essence bound within a small pouch. As Aaron approaches the weapon, he feels a connection to it unlike anything he has ever experienced before. But as he reaches out to take the pouch, he is confronted by a figure cloaked in shadows. This mysterious observer reveals themselves to be an emissary of the long-lost civilization that created the cursed weapon, a race known as the Ebon Forged. The emissary tells them that the weapon was forged to combat an ancient evil that threatens their realm, and that only one wielder can prevent its return. As they listen in awe, Aaron realizes that he is that wielder, that chosen one destined to protect his realm from darkness. But with this newfound knowledge comes a terrible price. The weapon's power will consume him if he fails to keep it under control. And as Queen Kayla's agents close in on their position, Aaron knows that he must make a choice: embrace his destiny and protect his realm, or succumb to the darkness within himself. As they face off against Queen Kayla's agents, Aaron wields the cursed weapon for the first time, feeling its malevolent power coursing through him. He fights with all his might, determined to save his realm from destruction. But as the battle rages on, he struggles to maintain control over the weapon, fearing that it may consume him from within. With every blow, he feels the darkness growing stronger, threatening to engulf him and leave him a mere shadow of his former self. In the end, Aaron emerges victorious, but at a great cost. The cursed weapon has left its mark upon him, changing him in ways he never could have imagined. But as he looks out over the battlefield, he knows that he must continue to fight for the fate of his realm, and the balance of the world hangs in the balance. With Queen Kayla's agents defeated, Aaron turns his attention to Eamon, who stands before him, his ambition for power shattered. But as they face off, a deeper truth is revealed. Eamon was never truly a threat to Aaron or his realm. He was merely a pawn in the hands of a far greater evil one that has been lurking within the shadows all along. As darkness descends upon the realm once more, Aaron and Thorin stand united against the forces of darkness. Together, they will face whatever challenges come their way, knowing that the fate of their world depends on them. And as the sun rises over the ancient temple, a new era begins, one where the power of the cursed weapon is harnessed for the greater good, and where the people of this realm can live in peace and prosperity. Echoes of the Ebon Forge. The sun hung low in the sky over the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, casting long shadows upon the cobblestone streets. Aaron's forge sat silent and abandoned, its iron door locked tight, as if holding a secret that could change everything. The local tavern buzzed with activity, villagers whispering about recent events, their faces drawn by worry and fear. Thorin strode into the tavern, his broad shoulders filling the doorway, his expression set in grim determination. He scanned the room, his eyes searching for any sign of Aaron. The village elder, a stooped man with a long grey beard, approached him, his face etched with concern. "Lady Kayla's men have taken several villagers hostage," the elder murmured, his voice barely audible above the din of conversation. "They demand Aaron and the cursed weapon in exchange for their safe return." Thorin clenched his fists, his jaw tightening. "I will find him," he growled, turning to leave. "But beware," the elder warned. "The Queen's men are ruthless. They mean to take the weapon and use it for their own gain." Thorin nodded, already making a mental list of possible locations where Aaron might hide. As he slipped out into the gathering dusk, he vowed to protect his friend, bring the Queen to justice. Meanwhile, Eamon, once a respected member of the village, stood in the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest. The priests had cast him out, their fear and mistrust of him palpable. He paced back and forth before a towering statue of an armored warrior, his eyes fixed on the weapon resting upon its pedestal. "You were meant to wield that power," Eamon muttered to himself, reaching out to touch the cursed sword. "It is rightfully yours." As he took hold of the hilt, a bolt of energy surged through him, causing him to stumble backward. The priests emerged from their hidden sanctum, their faces twisted with anger and disgust. With a cry, they attacked Eamon, driving him from the temple. He fled, cursing them for denying him what he believed was rightfully his. Back in the village, Thorin searched every nook and cranny, but found no sign of Aaron. His heart heavy with worry, he made his way back to the tavern, where Queen Kayla's agents waited, their eyes cold and calculating. "Hand over the weapon," the leader of her men demanded, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. "Or I swear by the gods I will kill every last villager." Thorin stared him down, his own blade held ready. "You'll have to kill me first," he growled. The tension in the air was palpable, the weight of the situation bearing down upon them all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in twilight, Thorin knew that time was running out. He would have to make a choice, protect Aaron and the weapon or save his friends and the villagers. But as the darkness descended, so too did an unexpected ally. From the shadows emerged Aaron, flanked by sentient weapons forged from his own hands. The cursed weapon glinted in his grip, its power evident even to the untrained eye. "I will not allow you to destroy this village," Aaron declared, standing tall before the Queen's agents. "I am the true master of the cursed weapon." With a cry, Thorin joined him, ready to fight for what was right. Together, they faced down Queen Kyla's men, their blades clashing in a dance as old as time itself. The villagers watched in stunned silence, hope flickering within their hearts that the darkness would be vanquished once more. As the battle raged on, Eironn struggled with the weapon's power, feeling its malevolent influence coursing through him. He knew that it was a double-edged sword, capable of great destruction as well as protection. But as the night wore on and his enemies fell before him, he began to understand the true nature of his destiny. For Eironn was not just the blacksmith who forged sentient weapons. He was the last remaining member of the Ebon-Forged, the ancient civilization that created them. And with the cursed weapon in his hands, he realized that the fate of all realms rested upon his shoulders. As dawn broke over Ironwild Forest, the battle ended. Queen Kyla's men were defeated, their leader slain at Eironn's hand. The villagers emerged from hiding, their relief evident as they embraced one another. Aemon, broken and defeated, stumbled away into the forest, his dreams of power shattered. Eironn stood atop a hill overlooking the village, the cursed weapon still in his grasp. He looked out upon the land, knowing that a greater evil lurked in the shadows, but with Thorin by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges came their way. Together, they would protect their realm and uncover the truth about the Ebon-Forged and the cursed weapon. Eironn's heart raced as he peered through the dimly lit room at the hidden entrance to his forge. The air was thick with anticipation. The village buzzed with tension. He knew Queen Kyla's agents were close, and their presence brought an uncomfortable tension to the air. The village elder sat silently in the tavern, his eyes distant and worried. "I fear our days are numbered," he whispered to Thorin, who leaned on the bar. "We will do everything we can to protect this place," Thorin replied firmly. His gaze shifted to Eironn's forge, a beacon of hope in these troubled times. Meanwhile, Queen Kyla stood before her mirror, admiring her reflection as she considered the weapon that had eluded her grasp for so long. Her eyes narrowed as she thought about the power it would bring. "It's mine," she whispered to herself. Back in the village, a burly man served drinks to the worried patrons. The village guardian watched him warily, his hand resting on his sword hilt. He had been tasked with protecting Eironn and the weapon, but he felt helpless against Queen Kyla's agents. Aemon paced outside of the temple, muttering curses under his breath. "That blacksmith has what is rightfully mine," he snarled. "I will not rest until I have it." Inside the temple, Eironn stood before an open tome, its pages filled with the history of the Ebon-Forged. He traced his fingers over ancient runes that seemed to leap from the page, their power resonating through him. Suddenly, the room shook as a loud crash echoed through the temple. The villagers ran to the windows, peering out at the chaos unfolding in the village square. Queen Kyla's agents had arrived. Thorin raced towards the commotion, his sword at the ready. Aemon appeared beside him, a smug expression on his face. "I always knew you would fail to protect that weapon," he taunted. Echoes of the Ebon-Forge. In a small room hidden behind the tavern, Eironn's heart pounded in his chest as he carefully examined the ancient tome open before him. The pages were worn and brittle, filled with cryptic symbols and runes that seemed to dance before his eyes. Aemon stood behind him, watching intently as Eironn traced his fingers over the intricate text. "You know, I have always been interested in these old artifacts," said Aemon with a sly grin. "Perhaps I could be of assistance." Eironn glanced at his old friend warily. The once jovial man who had served as their village guardian seemed to have changed since the arrival of Queen Kyla's agents. He was now driven by an unquenchable thirst for power and control, a far cry from the simple life they had shared in Ironwild Forest. "Aemon," Eironn said softly but firmly, "I cannot allow you to help. This is my burden to bear." A strange look crossed Aemon's face, a mix of anger and frustration. He clenched his fists by his sides, clearly disappointed that Eironn would not join him in his quest for power. But Aemon was nothing if not persistent. "Very well," he spat out, turning away from the tome. "If you insist on facing this alone, I shall find my own way." Aemon stormed out of the room, leaving Eironn to ponder the implications of his words. He knew that allowing Aemon access to the cursed weapon would only lead to disaster, and he could not risk their lives or the safety of the village. But how could he stand against an old friend who was now a formidable opponent? Meanwhile, in the village square, Thorin confronted Queen Kyla's men as they rounded up villagers for questioning. The leader of the group sneered at him, a cruel smirk playing on his lips. "We will find that weapon," he snarled, "and if you stand in our way, we shall make an example of you." Thorin's eyes flashed with determination. He refused to let these outsiders harm the innocent villagers. As the agents continued their search, Thorin made his way towards the temple, deep within Ironwild Forest, seeking answers and allies who could help him protect Iron and uncover the truth about the curse. Back in the hidden room, Iron felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through his veins as the ancient tome seemed to come alive before him. The symbols danced wildly, swirling into an image of a massive sword that seemed to shimmer with power. Euron gasped as he realized what he was seeing. It was the cursed weapon, and it had been calling out to him ever since he discovered its essence pouch in the village temple. As the vision faded, Euron felt a deep sense of dread wash over him. He knew that if he did not claim the weapon soon, Queen Kyla would stop at nothing to obtain it. With no other choice, Euron made his decision. He would journey into Ironwild Forest and face whatever dangers lay ahead in search of the ancient temple, where the cursed weapon was hidden. But little did he know that danger was already lurking nearby, waiting for its chance to strike. The burly man who had served as village guardian had been watching Euron's every move, and now saw his opportunity to seize the weapon for himself. With a sneer, he reached for the ancient tome, intending to use it to guide him to the temple. As the room filled with shadows, Euron felt a sudden presence behind him. He turned just in time to see the guardian reaching for the tome, his eyes filled with greed and ambition. Euron knew that he must act quickly if he hoped to save himself, the villagers, and the cursed weapon from falling into the wrong hands. With a surge of strength, Euron leapt forward, catching the guardian's arm in mid-air as he attempted to grab the tome. The two men struggled, their muscles straining as they fought for control, but the guardian was strong and determined, and it seemed as though Euron might not be able to hold him off much longer. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the room as Thorin burst in, his eyes wide with concern. He rushed towards Euron and the guardian, throwing them both off balance. The ancient tome skidded across the floor, its pages scattering everywhere as chaos erupted in the hidden room. "What is going on here?" Thorin demanded, glaring at the guardian. "Aemon has already left to find the weapon on his own," the guardian sneered, struggling against Thorin's grip. "I am taking what I believe is rightfully mine," he growled. As they struggled, Euron felt a sudden surge of power coursing through him, the power of the cursed weapon, now calling out to him more urgently than ever before. With a cry, he broke free from the guardian's grasp and reached for the ancient tome, which had fallen near his feet. As soon as he touched it, the symbols on its pages seemed to come alive, guiding Euron towards the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest. He knew that he must go now, before Queen Kyla's men found him and took the weapon for themselves. With Thorin by his side, Euron left the hidden room behind, setting off on a journey that would test their courage and determination like never before. As they ventured deeper into the forest, little did they know that danger lurked around every corner, but they were not alone in their search for the ancient temple. The sun cast a warm glow on the quaint village, nestled within Ironwild Forest, but darkness stirred beneath its surface as Queen Kyla's agents approached, their eyes scanning every corner for any sign of Euron and the cursed weapon. The village guardian, burly man, stood watch atop the hill, his heart heavy with the weight of responsibility and his thoughts consumed by ambition. Inside the local tavern, Thorin sat hunched over a mug of ale, his eyes never leaving the door as he waited for news from Euron. The village elder entered the tavern, seeking refuge from the growing tension outside. He approached Thorin, worry etched on his face. "Thorin," the elder began, "I fear that the Queen's men are closing in on us. Euron and I must leave before they arrive." Thorin's eyes narrowed as he stood, a deep sense of unease settling over him. "We can't abandon this village to their mercy," he said, his voice low but firm. Eamon's thirst for power grows stronger by the day, and I won't let him claim the weapon or harm any innocent lives. The elder sighed, understanding the burden Thorin carried. We will find another way to protect our people, but we must act quickly, he said, glancing towards the door as a loud commotion erupted outside. As they rushed out into the chaos that had taken over the village square, they found Aemon challenging Euron for the weapon in front of Queen Kaela's men. The villagers huddled together, their fear palpable as the two warriors squared off, each determined to claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. Aemon's voice rang out over the din, his words filled with anger and arrogance. You have no right to wield that power, he spat at Euron, his eyes burning with ambition. It should be mine. Queen Kaela stood nearby, her expression cold and calculating as she watched the confrontation unfold. She had come for the weapon, and she would do whatever it took to take control of it. But as she looked into Euron's eyes, something flickered within her, a sense that he was more than just another blacksmith seeking power. Aemon lunged at Euron, his sword flashing in the sunlight. In response, the cursed weapon hummed to life, its power radiating outwards as it defended itself and its master. The villagers gasped as the two weapons clashed, their blades dancing around each other with deadly precision. Thorin rushed forward, his sword drawn as he tried to separate the two warriors. His efforts were met with little success, however, as Aemon's determination to claim the weapon seemed unstoppable. The village elder joined him, casting a protective spell that shielded the villagers from the flying debris and sparks produced by the fierce battle. As the fight raged on, Euron felt a strange connection to the cursed weapon, as if it were guiding his actions in ways he couldn't fully comprehend. He fought with a newfound ferocity, determined to protect not only himself but also the villagers that had become his home. The battle reached its climax as Aemon lunged at Euron once more, driving him towards the edge of the village square. Just as it seemed that all hope was lost, Thorin managed to disarm Aemon, sending the weapon flying through the air. Euron reached out, his hand closing around the hilt of the cursed weapon as it landed at his feet. With a surge of power, he drew it free from its sheath and turned to face Aemon, who stood defiantly before him. You may have bested me in this fight, Aemon sneered, but I will never forget this humiliation. Euron's gaze remained steady as he looked upon his former friend. We were once brothers in arms, he said softly, a hint of sadness in his voice. But your ambition has consumed you. You must choose between the path of darkness or redemption. Aemon's eyes flashed with anger, but before he could respond, a loud cry echoed through the village square. The Guardian burst into the chaos, brandishing a sword that gleamed dangerously in the sunlight. I will take what is rightfully mine, he bellowed as he lunged towards Euron, his eyes filled with greed and lust for power. The battle continued, the villagers cowering behind their shields as Thorin, Aemon, and the Guardian clashed in a whirlwind of steel and magic. As the fight raged on, Queen Kaela stood watching, her expression unreadable as she considered her next move. Meanwhile, Euron felt something strange, a connection to the weapon that seemed to call out to him, drawing him away from the battle. Following its lead, he left the village square, his mind consumed thoughts of ancient secrets and hidden temples deep within Ironwild Forest. As Thorin fought to protect the villagers from Queen Kaela's agents, who had taken several hostages in exchange for Euron's surrender, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. He knew that Aemon was still a threat, and he feared that the Guardian's arrival would only complicate matters further. But as he looked towards the forest, where Euron had vanished, Thorin felt a twinge of worry. Something about this situation didn't feel right, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being led down a dangerous path. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows on the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest. The village square buzzed with activity as villagers gathered, anxious whispers echoing off stone buildings and cobblestone paths. In the heart of the chaos, a confrontation unfolded between Queen Kaela's men and the village guardian. Thorin stood amidst the crowd, his eyes fixed on Aemon, who was locked in a heated debate with Elder. Euron, his face etched with worry, retreated to the local tavern, seeking solace in his forge. A sense of unease permeated the air as the villagers braced themselves for what was to come. Inside the tavern, Aaron gripped the hilt of the cursed weapon, its power coursing through him like a tempest. He leaned over the anvil, seeking solace in his craft, but the weapon's malice only grew stronger. Meanwhile, outside, Thorin stepped forward, sensing danger brewing. "Eamon," he bellowed, his voice echoing off stone walls. "What do you think you are doing?" "This weapon is mine," Eamon declared, brandishing a small pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon. "I am destined to wield it and rule this realm. The time for talk is over." Thorin's gaze hardened as he remembered their past battles, both physical and philosophical. He knew that Eamon was wrong, but also recognized the allure of power in a world plagued by darkness. "Aaron would never surrender the weapon," Thorin said, his voice steady, "and neither will I let you take it from him." The crowd watched on as the two old friends faced off, their confrontation threatening to erupt into violence. In the distance, Queen Kayla's agents closed in on the village, sensing an opportunity to seize control of the weapon. Aaron, sensing danger, rushed from his forge and joined the fray. With a swift motion, he drew the cursed weapon, its power surging through him as it sought its true master. In that moment, he saw visions of ancient battles, powerful warriors, and the destruction they had wrought. As chaos erupted in the village square, the mysterious guardian emerged from the shadows, his intentions unknown. He eyed Aaron warily, sensing the weapon's power coursing through him. "The weapon will be mine," he whispered to himself. "And with it, I shall unlock the secrets of the temple and restore balance to this realm." In the midst of the chaos, Eamon lunged at Thorin, his eyes burning with ambition and rage. The crowd scattered as they fought, their swords clashing in a symphony of steel on stone. Meanwhile, Queen Kayla's agents continued their search for the cursed weapon, using hostages to coerce villagers into revealing its location. In the end, it was Aaron who emerged victorious, his newfound powers allowing him to best both Thorin and Eamon. The crowd watched in awe as he stood over them, the cursed weapon at his side. "Enough," cried Elder, stepping forward to address Queen Kayla's agents. "You will leave our village and never return." "We will not bow to tyranny." The leaders of Queen Kayla's men sneered, but the threat was clear: retreat or suffer the consequences. With a final glare at Eamon, they retreated into the forest, leaving the villagers to pick up the pieces. As the sun set on another day in Ironwild Forest, tensions remained high. The villagers knew that their struggles were far from over, but for now, they had won a small victory. Aaron stood atop the village square, gazing out at the forest that hid the ancient temple and its secrets. He knew that his journey was far from complete, but he also knew that with Thorin by his side, he would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest hummed with activity. Queen Kayla's men had arrived, their presence heavy and foreboding. Villagers whispered among themselves, their eyes darting between the newcomers and the blacksmith Aaron, who stood resolute in his forge. Inside Aaron's small room hidden behind the tavern, Thorin sat with a glass of ale, watching the villagers' unease grow. He glanced at Eamon, now armed with the cursed weapon, and felt a pang of sorrow. The friendship between them had long been strained, but he could not help but feel responsible for the current state of affairs. Suddenly, a commotion erupted outside. Queen Kayla's agents stepped forward, their weapons at the ready. A burly man who served as village guardian stood tall, blocking their path to Aaron. "I won't let you take him," he declared, his voice echoing through the village square. The leader of Queen Kayla's men sneered. "Give up your weapon, or we will harm innocent lives." Crowd gathered around them, villagers pleading for peace and urging Eamon to give in. But Eamon's eyes gleamed with newfound power and ambition as he tightened his grip on the cursed sword. Thorin stood up, determined to protect Aaron and find a solution. "I challenge you, Queen Kayla's men," he bellowed, stepping between them and the blacksmith. "We will not give in to violence." The leader of Queen Kayla's men raised an eyebrow at Thorin, sizing him up. "You are brave, warrior, but this is not your fight," he sneered before turning back to the villagers. "Hand over Aaron and the weapon, or face dire consequences." As the standoff continued, whispers of a mysterious guardian who sought the ancient temple's secrets circulated through the crowd. The air was thick with tension, and the stakes had never been higher. It seemed that the fate of the village and its inhabitants rested on the outcome of this conflict. Thorin felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He knew he must find a way to protect Iron and save the villagers without resorting to violence. But as he looked into Eamon's eyes, filled with ambition and a thirst for power, he wondered if it was even possible. Meanwhile, in the depths of Ironwild Forest, the mysterious guardian followed an ancient map towards the hidden entrance to Iron's forge. His heart pounded with anticipation as he approached the sacred space. He knew that the weapon would change everything for better or worse. As the sun below the horizon and darkness settled upon the village, the fate of all who lived there hung in the balance. The struggle between Iron Thorin, Eamon, Queen Kayla, and the mysterious guardian threatened to consume them all, drawing them deeper into a world of danger and intrigue. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun set over the Ironwild Forest, casting eerie shadows upon the quaint village nestled within its depths. The local tavern buzzed with hushed whispers as patrons exchanged glances and fearful rumors of Queen Kayla's approaching agents. Thorin stood at the bar, a mug clenched tightly in his hand. He leaned against the worn wooden counter, eyes scanning the room for any sign of intruders. The burly man who served as village guardian approached him with a worried frown. "My Lord Thorin," he said, "the villagers have grown restless. We must make a decision." Thorin sighed and drained his mug in one gulp. "What do they want?" "The Queen's men are closing in on Iron, and now they've taken several hostages. They demand the cursed weapon or they won't release them." A cold shiver ran down Thorin's spine. "We cannot give it to her," he growled, grinding his teeth. "But the villagers fear for their lives." The burly man looked desperate. "What can we do?" Thorin hesitated, knowing that Aaron would not surrender the weapon willingly. "We'll find another way." "I'll talk to him," he said, resolving himself. Outside, a group of Queen Kayla's men led several villagers through the village square. The leader's eyes gleamed with malice as he surveyed his captives, savouring their fear. He called out to Eamon, who stood before an ancient temple deep within the Ironwild Forest. "Eamon," he bellowed, "the weapon. We need it now if we want these people to live." Eamon's eyes glinted with hunger as he stepped towards them. "I can have it for you," he said, a sinister smile playing upon his lips. "But I want something in return." In Iron's small room hidden behind the tavern, he stood before an open tome. He traced its ancient script with trembling fingers as he sought answers about the weapon's origins and how to control its power. The room filled with a sudden warmth, and a spectral figure materialized beside him. "I have been watching you," it said, its voice echoing in the small space. "You are not the only one seeking the weapon." Iron turned to face the mysterious guardian. "Who are you?" he demanded, his grip tightening on the ancient tome. The guardian's eyes shimmered with the wisdom of ages past. "I am a protector. I have watched over your forge and the weapon for many years." Aaron stared at him, stunned. "Why haven't you come before?" "I could not interfere until now," the guardian explained. "The time has come to reveal its true power, and you must learn to wield it, Iron. You are its master." In the village square, Thorin approached Eamon, who stood smugly before the Queen's agents and their hostages. He held out his hand towards him, a sinister gleam in his eyes. He said, "I will not let this come to violence." Eamon sneered at him. "You are no longer my friend, Thorin. I seek power, and the weapon is mine by right." Thorin clenched his fists, anger rising within him. "Not if I can help it," he growled, stepping closer to Eamon. The Queen's men tensed, their hands reaching for their swords. The village guardian stepped in front of them, blocking their way. "This ends now," he roared, his voice echoing through the square. As twilight descended over the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest, villagers huddled together, their faces etched with fear and worry. The air was heavy with tension as Queen Kayla's men patrolled the streets, searching for the elusive weapon that had eluded them thus far. Inside the local tavern, Thorin sat at his usual table, nursing a mug of ale and pondering his next move. Across the room, Eamon brooded over ancient tomes and scrolls, seeking answers about the weapon's origins and power. Aaron, weary from days spent forging weapons, stepped out of his forge and walked through the village square. He felt a surge of unease as he passed by Queen Kyla's men, who stared at him with cold, calculating eyes. As he reached the tavern, Thorin caught sight of him and beckoned him over. "Aaron," Thorin said in hushed tones, "we must speak." A burly man serving as the village guardian approached them, his expression serious. "The Queen's men have taken several villagers hostage and demand the weapon," he whispered. "If we don't give it to them, they threaten to harm innocent lives." Aaron clenched his fists, his heart pounding with anger. He knew he couldn't let them take the weapon or use it against his people. But if he refused, they might not stop until they found another way to force him to surrender. "I won't let them hurt anyone," Aaron said firmly. "But I can't just hand over the weapon." Thorin nodded solemnly. "I understand. We need a plan, and we need it quickly." The village elder appeared beside them, his eyes filled with concern. "We must act, but carefully," he warned. "If they suspect anything, they'll only grow more ruthless in their pursuit of the weapon." As darkness enveloped Ironwild Forest, a spectral guardian emerged from the shadows, watching the exchange with interest. It sensed the danger that loomed over the village and knew it was time to act. In the small room hidden behind the tavern, Eamon continued poring over ancient texts, seeking answers about the weapon's power. As he read, he felt a strange presence enter the room. He looked up, startled to see the spectral guardian standing before him. "I am here to help you wield the weapon's true power," it said in a voice like the wind whispering through the trees. "But first, you must confront your past and embrace your destiny." Eamon stared at the guardian, unsure of what to make of its words. He knew he had always felt different, as though there was something more to his existence. Could it be true that he was meant for greatness? Meanwhile, in the village square, a tense standoff occurred between Thorin, Eamon, and Queen Kyla's men. The villagers watched nervously, their hearts pounding with fear as they waited to see who would emerge victorious. As darkness fell upon Ironwild Forest, it seemed that the fate of many hung in the balance. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, with the sun setting over Ironwild Forest, an eerie silence blanketed the quaint village nestled within it. The tension between Queen Kyla's men and the villagers was palpable as they faced off on opposite sides of the village square. In the local tavern, Thorin and Aaron shared a tense conversation with Eamon, who had returned from his encounter with the spectral guardian. Thorin leaned in close to Eamon, his eyes narrowing. "You cannot let this curse control you, boy," he growled. "Your ambition will be your downfall." Eamon's face twisted into a scowl. "I am no longer a boy," he retorted, "and I won't let anyone stand in the way of my destiny." He turned to Aaron, his eyes burning with determination. "Give me the weapon, and together we shall rule this realm." Aaron hesitated, his gaze flickering between Thorin and Eamon as he weighed his options. The spectral guardian's words echoed in his mind. "Embrace your destiny or risk losing everything you hold dear." But the thought of unleashing such power terrified him. Suddenly, a commotion erupted outside as Queen Kyla's men stormed into the village square, taking several villagers hostage in an attempt to force Aaron's hand. The burly man who served as village guardian tried to stand his ground, but he was quickly overpowered by the Queen's agents. Eamon's eyes widened as his father was taken captive. "You will regret this," he shouted, raising his sword. "I won't let them hurt my family." Thorin stepped in front of Aaron protectively. "We have to do something before they harm innocent lives," he said grimly. As the two friends began formulating a plan, the spectral guardian appeared behind them, its ethereal presence sending chills down their spines. "Your destiny awaits," it whispered. "But first, you must face your past." With Queen Kyla's men closing in on Aaron and his friends, they had no choice but to follow the guardian's cryptic words. They left the tavern and headed for the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest, hoping that it held the answers they needed to save their village and confront the darkness threatening their world. The sun dipped low over the Ironwild Forest as Aaron, Thorin, and Eamon approached an ancient temple nestled deep within its dense foliage. The air was thick with tension as the trio cautiously made their way through the hidden entrance to Aaron's forge. "Aaron," Thorin whispered, "I can sense it." "The weapon is close." The artisan nodded, his eyes narrowing as he listened attentively to the whispers of the forest around them. "It's here, I can feel it too." As they stepped further into the forge, the trio found themselves standing before an immense anvil, its surface tarnished with age. Intricate runes etched along its length seemed to dance in the flickering torchlight. Eamon's eyes shone with greed as he approached the anvil, reaching out to touch it. "This is it," he said, his voice filled with anticipation. "The weapon that will make us unstoppable." Suddenly, the anvil hummed with power, and a deep rumble echoed through the forge. The air around them crackled as energy surged through the runes. Aaron's grip on his hammer tightened, his gaze darting between Eamon and the anvil. "Eamon," he growled, "you have no idea what you're playing with." Before Eamon could respond, a figure materialized behind them. The spectral guardian stood tall, its spectral form glowing with ancient power. It turned its gaze on Aaron, its eyes filled with malice and determination. "I know what he does not," the spectral guardian said in a voice that echoed through the forge. "I have been seeking this anvil for ages, and now I finally have it within my grasp." Thorin stepped forward, his sword raised. "You will not take it from us." The spectral guardian laughed, its ghostly form shimmering as it moved swiftly towards the anvil. Aaron lunged at it, his hammer swinging in a powerful arc. The spectral guardian dodged easily, evading Aaron's strike and countering with a blow that sent him sprawling across the forge floor. Eamon seized the opportunity to claim the weapon, reaching out towards the anvil as Thorin struggled to get back on his feet. But before he could touch it, the anvil erupted in a burst of energy, sending Eamon flying across the room. The spectral guardian's eyes narrowed, its form glowing brighter as it stared at the fallen weapon. "You have awakened something far more powerful than you realize," it warned. "And I will claim it for my own." As the spectral guardian advanced on them, Aaron struggled to his feet, his grip tightening around his hammer. "Not if I can help it," he growled, his eyes blazing with determination. The battle that followed was fierce and brutal, each blow sent reverberating through the forge as Aaron, Thorin, and the spectral guardian clashed. The trio fought with all their might, but the spectral guardian proved to be a formidable opponent, its spectral form shimmering and twisting as it dodged and countered their attacks. Meanwhile, outside the forge, Eamon groaned as he struggled to stand. He stared at the anvil, his eyes filled with anger and determination. "I will have that weapon," he growled, grabbing hold of a nearby hammer and charging back into the fight. The battle intensified, each blow striking sparks from the forge floor as Eamon joined the fray. The spectral guardian turned its attention away from Aaron and Thorin to face their new adversary, its eyes gleaming with malice. Eamon swung his hammer at the spectral guardian, but it easily dodged the blow, countering with a strike that sent him flying across the room once more. Aaron seized the opportunity to strike, his hammer connecting with the spectral guardian's spectral form in a shower of sparks. The spectral guardian cried out as it fell back, its form momentarily fading before reforming. With renewed determination, Eamon lunged at the spectral guardian once more, Thorin following close behind. Together they managed to push the spectral guardian back, their combined strength finally overpowering the ancient enemy. As it dissipated into wisps of spectral energy, the anvil fell silent, the power within it spent. Aaron sank to his knees, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he stared at the now still anvil. "We did it," he said, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "We saved the weapon." Thorin helped Eamon to his feet, a look of concern crossing his features as he surveyed the damage done to the forge. "But at what cost?" he asked. Aaron sighed heavily, his gaze drifting towards the now unconscious Eamon. "We'll deal with him later," he said. "For now, we need to get out of here and make sure Queen Kyla doesn't find the weapon." With Thorin's help, they carefully carried Eamon from the forge, making their way back towards the village. As they stepped out into the moonlit night, they knew that their journey was far from over. The darkness that had pursued them throughout their quest still lingered, waiting to strike again. But for now, they had won a small victory in their fight against the curse threatening their world. As they approached the village, they found it in chaos. Queen Kyla's men were everywhere, taking villagers as hostage and demanding the location of the cursed weapon. Eamon's father was among those being held captive, his eyes filled with fear as he stared at his son. Aaron's heart as he watched the scene unfold, his grip tightening around his hammer once more. "We can't let them take it," he said, determination filling his voice. "Not if we want to save our village." Da. Echoes of the Eben Forge. The sun dipped below the horizon as darkness settled upon the quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest. The village square bustled with activity as villagers, led by Thorin, formed a defensive line against Queen Kyla's men who had taken several hostages, demanding Iron's surrender and the cursed weapon. Eamon, standing atop a large boulder, shouted defiantly to his friend, Iron. "I will not let you hide from your destiny any longer. Hand over the weapon or they die." Iron clenched his fists, tears streaming down his face as he looked upon the terrified villagers, held captive by Kyla's men. Thorin, standing beside him, tensed in readiness for battle. He knew that Eamon's ambition would not be easily quelled, and that the stakes had never been higher. Suddenly, a spectral figure appeared before them, the mysterious guardian from the ancient temple. Its ethereal glowed with an eerie light as it addressed Aaron and Thorin. "You have awakened the power of the ancient weapon, but you are not its true master. You must learn to control it or all will be lost." A sense of foreboding washed over Aaron as he gazed into the spectral figure's eyes. He knew that the guardian spoke the truth and that his past would soon catch up with him. In a trembling voice he asked, "What must I do to control this power?" The spectral guardian replied, "You must embrace your destiny and confront the darkness within yourself. The ancient temple holds the answers you seek." As the spectral figure vanished, Eamon lunged forward with a snarl. "I'll find that temple before you do. I will become the most powerful blacksmith in history." With a surge of determination, Thorin stepped between Eamon and Iron. "We fight this together as friends. We cannot let our pasts rule us." Eamon sneered at him. "Friendship means nothing to me now. I will become the greatest, no matter the cost." As tensions mounted, the village guardian emerged from a nearby shop, drawing his sword and joining forces with Thorin. "Enough. We protect this village and its people. If you wish to claim the weapon, do so honorably or leave peacefully." Eamon hesitated for a moment before turning and sprinting off into the forest in search of the ancient temple. The village guardian let out a sigh of relief as he turned back to face the remaining villagers and Kyla's agents. "We must hold on until help arrives," he said grimly. The battle raged on, with Thorin and the village guardian fending off Kyla's agents, while Iron struggled to control the cursed weapon within his forge hidden behind the tavern. As the night wore on, the villagers held strong, refusing to give in to fear. Finally, as dawn broke over Ironwild Forest, a group of seasoned warriors arrived to aid them. Led by Eamon's father, they fought valiantly alongside the villagers and Thorin, pushing Kyla's agents back and securing the safety of their homes. With their victory, Aaron was able to forge a new weapon, one that could help them confront Queen Kyla once and for all. As the sun rose higher in the sky, they knew that their journey was far from over, but with renewed hope and unity, they faced the challenges ahead together. The cursed weapon remained hidden, its power unleashed and its true master yet to be revealed. The battle lines were drawn, and the fate of the kingdom hung in the balance. Aaron knew that he would have to confront his past and embrace the darkness within him if he hoped to save those he loved from Queen Kyla's grasp. As they prepared for their next move, Thorin looked upon Aaron with a newfound respect. "I am here to help you," he said softly. "Together, we will see this through." Aaron nodded, his eyes reflecting the determination that burned within him. "We will stop Queen Kyla and her ambition for power. We will save our kingdom." As dawn broke over the quaint village nestled within the heart of Ironwild Forest, the villagers gathered around the village elder, who shared news from the previous night's battle. Eamon, driven by ambition, demanded Aaron surrender the cursed weapon or face the consequences. The spectral guardian, appearing once more to Aaron and Thorin, revealed that they were not the true masters of the ancient weapon, urging them to control it or all would be lost. The spectral figure led them on a perilous journey through the Ironwild forest, guiding them toward an ancient temple hidden deep within its heart. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew colder and darker, filled with whispers of forgotten secrets and long-lost powers. Meanwhile, Queen Kyla's men took several villagers hostage, demanding that Aaron surrender the cursed weapon in exchange for their lives. The village guardian rallied the remaining villagers to stand against the Queen's agents, while Thorin and a small group of warriors prepared to face them head-on. Eamon's father, sensing his son's growing ambition, arrived at the village with a force of seasoned warriors sworn to protect their people. As they approached the besieged village, they found themselves outnumbered by Queen Kyla's men, who had taken several villagers hostage and threatened them with harm if Aaron did not surrender the weapon. In the depths of Ironwild Forest, Aaron and Thorin followed the spectral guardian as it led them to the hidden entrance of the ancient temple. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with the echoes of forgotten battles and the smell of aged iron. The air was thick with tension, and an ancient anvil stood at its heart, surrounded by the remnants of long-forgotten weapons and tomes filled with arcane knowledge. As Aaron and Thorin entered the temple, they felt a strange sensation wash over them. The spectral guardian disappeared, leaving behind only a small pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon. With a sense of purpose, Aaron reached out and took the pouch, feeling an immediate connection to its dark power. Back in the village, Thorin and his warriors clashed with Queen Kyla's agents, fighting fiercely to protect the villagers they had sworn to protect. The battle raged on, with each side determined to claim victory and secure the cursed weapon for themselves. Inside the ancient temple, Aaron held pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon. Feeling the power coursing through his veins, he knew that he could no longer ignore the truth. He was bound to the weapon in ways he had never imagined. With a heavy heart, he realized that the fate of their world rested on his shoulders as he prepared to confront the darkness within himself and unlock the temple's secrets. The battle in the village reached its climax, with Eamon challenging Aaron for control of the cursed weapon. The villagers watched in fear as the two men clashed, the air crackling with the power of their weapons. Thorin fought alongside Eamon's father and the remaining warriors, determined to protect his friend and the village he had sworn to defend. Inside the ancient temple, Aaron felt a sudden presence behind him. He turned to find the spectral guardian standing before him, its form flickering in and out of existence. It warned him that the true master of the weapon was not among the living but hidden within the shadows. With a final message, it vanished, leaving Aaron alone with his thoughts. Back in the village, the battle between Aaron, Eamon, and their allies reached its climax. As they fought, the spectral guardian appeared before Queen Kyla's agents, sending them fleeing from the village. Thorin and his warriors secured victory, freeing the hostages and allowing the villagers to breathe a sigh of relief. Aaron stood in the ancient temple, holding the pouch containing the essence of the cursed weapon, knowing that he must confront the darkness within himself if he hoped to control its power. With newfound determination, he turned toward the hidden path that led deeper into the temple, prepared to face whatever challenges awaited him, unlock the secrets of the ancient artifact that held the fate of their world in its grasp. Echoes of the Ebon Forge, the sun set upon the quaint village, nestled within Ironwild Forest, casting an eerie glow over its cobblestone streets. Aaron stood before his forge, the anvil gleaming under the dim light. The cursed weapon's essence pouch lay on his workbench as he grappled with the power it held. "You know what must be done," Thorin said, stepping into the small room hidden behind the tavern. He surveyed Aaron, noticing the fatigue in the artisan's eyes and the worry etched across his face. "I can sense its pull on you. Let it go," Aaron replied, gripping the pouch tightly. "The weapon was created to protect this realm from an ancient evil. I cannot abandon it now." Thorin's gaze hardened. "Or perhaps you mean you can't leave your past behind?" he asked, his voice heavy with unspoken words. Aaron sighed. "I have done so much harm in my life," he confessed. The weapon is a part of that, but it also offers redemption. Before Thorin could respond, they heard the distant sound of horse hooves approaching. The leader of Queen Kyla's men emerged from the shadows, flanked by his warriors. He demanded Aeron surrender the cursed weapon or face the consequences for his defiance. Aemon, still driven by his desire for power and control, arrived at the village square with a group of armed followers. His father stood beside him, visibly tired but determined. "I've come to claim what is rightfully mine," he declared, challenging Aeron. Tensions rose as villagers huddled together, fearful of the impending confrontation. The spectral guardian appeared, his presence known only by the sudden chill in the air. He regarded the gathering with cold eyes before vanishing into thin air. The air is thick with tension as Queen Kyla's men storm through the village square, their armor gleaming under the sun. Villagers cower behind makeshift barricades, fear etched on every face. Aeron and Thorin stand ready by the entrance to Aeron's forge, guarding the hidden weapon within. Aemon, Queen Kyla's men, cry out, recognizing her son among them. He steps forward, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "I demand that you surrender the weapon," he barks at Aeron, clutching a small pouch containing the essence of the cursed sword. Thorin steps between them. "Back off, Aemon. This is not what you want." Aemon snarls, his eyes flashing with anger. "I will have power, and I'll take it by any means necessary." He turns to Queen Kyla's men, pointing towards the forge. "Bring them out." The burly man who served as village guardian steps forward, blocking Aemon's path. "We won't let you hurt him," he growls. A moment of silence hangs heavy in the air. A spectral guardian materializes behind Aeron and Thorin, its ghostly form radiating a sense of foreboding. "I won't let you take what is rightfully mine," Aemon snarls, reaching for his sword. "Enough," Queen Kyla's men shout in unison, drawing their weapons and charging at the villagers. Aeron clenches his fists as the battle begins, the cursed weapon's power surging within him. The village guardian roars a war cry, leading the fight against Queen Kyla's forces. Thorin grabs Aemon by the arm, pulling him away from the fray. "Aemon, listen to me," he pleads. "You don't want this. You don't want to become a pawn in her game." A spectral guardian appears beside them, its ethereal form glowing with an eerie light. Aemon looks up, eyes wide with fear. The guardian speaks in a voice that echoes through the village. "You have chosen your sides," it intones. "The path before you will determine the fate of all realms." Aemon stares at the spectral guardian, his heart pounding in his chest. He glances back at Aeron and Thorin, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face as he hesitates, torn between power and friendship. The battle rages on, villagers fighting valiantly against Queen Kyla's men. The spectral guardian watches, its ethereal gaze fixed on the unfolding conflict. As Aemon stands there, frozen in indecision, a spark of determination ignites within him. He takes a deep breath and turns to face Thorin. "I choose us." Thorin raises an eyebrow, relief washing over him as Aemon sheathes his sword. Together, they prepare to defend their home and the cursed weapon against Queen Kyla's forces. Echoes of the ebon forge, the sun sets behind the Ironwild forest as Queen Kyla's men swarm into the village square, villagers scattering in fear. The air buzzes with tension, and the smell of blood is in the wind. Aemon, once a friend to both Thorin and Aeron, now stands before them, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "Hand over that weapon," demands the leader of Queen Kyla's men, brandishing a sword, "or we will take it by force." Aeron clutches the cursed weapon, its power surging within him. Thorin steps between them, his own blade ready for battle. The villagers huddle together, their faces filled with fear and desperation. "You will not take this village," Aeron growls, his voice echoing off the stone walls of the ancient temple nearby. "Not while I stand here," Aemon sighs, a pang of regret etched on his face. "I never wanted it to come to this." A hush falls over the crowd as the battle commences. Villagers fight alongside Thorin and Aeron, their lives on the line for the future of their home. The sound of steel clashing against steel fills the air, each swing carrying the weight of the realm's fate. Aemon watches from a distance, torn between loyalty to his friends and the allure of power. He catches sight of Aeron struggling with the cursed weapon's dark energy, his body trembling under its influence. A spark of determination ignites in Eamon's eyes. "I cannot let you suffer any longer," he mutters to himself, turning to join the fray. The battle rages on, villagers and Queen Kayla's men exchanging blows as the cursed weapon's power grows ever stronger within Iron. The ground shakes with each strike, and the ancient temple trembles in response. In a desperate bid to save their village, Thorin lunges towards Eamon, hoping to disarm him before he can take advantage of Iron's weakness. But Eamon is quick, parrying Thorin's attack and sending him sprawling backwards. Eamon's eyes narrow as he raises his sword, ready to deliver the final blow. "Forgive me," Eamon whispers, his voice barely audible over the sounds of battle, "but I cannot let this power pass from my grasp." With a swift motion, Eamon strikes at Thorin, but something unexpected happens. Aeron intervenes, taking the brunt of the blow meant for Thorin. The cursed weapon's energy surges within him as he absorbs the impact, sending waves of pain rippling through his body. A gasp escapes the crowd as they watch their friend suffer. Eamon looks on in shock, realizing the depths to which he has sunk. "No," he whispers, dropping his sword. "I can't do this." The spectral guardian emerges from the shadows, a fierce look in its eyes. It advances towards Eamon, who falls to his knees before it, defeated. "You have made your choice," the spectral guardian growls. "And now you must face the consequences." Aeron collapses as darkness envelops him, consumed by the cursed weapon's power. The village watches in horror as their world is torn apart, their hopes and dreams crumbling around them. The battle ends with Queen Kayla's men defeated and scattered, their ambition left unfulfilled. But the true cost of their actions is still to be seen as Aeron lies unconscious, consumed by the cursed weapon's power. The future of the realm hangs in the balance, and all must pay for the choices they have made. The villagers gather around Aeron, mourning their losses and praying for his recovery. Thorin stands beside them, his heart heavy with regret and sorrow. The spectral guardian watches from a distance, its eyes burning with a fierce determination. "We cannot let this darkness consume us," Thorin whispers, turning to face the villagers. "We must stand together and fight for our future." With renewed resolve, they vow to uncover the truth about the cursed weapon and save Aeron before it is too late. The sun sets on a dark day for the village nestled within Ironwild Forest, but hope still flickers in their hearts as they embark on the journey ahead, ready to face whatever challenges lay before them. The quaint village nestled within Ironwild Forest trembled under the weight of looming darkness as Queen Kayla's men, led by a burly man in armor, marched through its bustling center. In the local tavern, Thorin and Eamon argued over their next move while the villagers whispered amongst themselves, fear palpable in their eyes. In Iron's forge, the cursed weapon lay dormant on an anvil, its essence contained within a small pouch. The blacksmith lay unconscious, his fate intertwined with that of the weapon he had unwittingly unleashed upon the world. The burly man who served as village guardian approached Thorin, his eyes filled with anger and desperation. "We cannot stand against their numbers," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "They've taken several hostages demanding Iron's surrender." Thorin clenched his fist, gritting his teeth in determination. "We have no choice but to confront them." He turned to the village elder, who nodded solemnly. Together, they rallied the villagers, inspiring them with words of courage and hope. The villagers gathered at the village square, ready for battle. Queen Kayla's men, led by their leader, formed a defensive line around the captives, their eyes cold and calculating. Thorin stepped forward, his sword held high. "Release our people, or face the wrath of this entire village," the leader sneered, revealing a cruel grin. "Your futile resistance only delays your inevitable defeat." He motioned to his men, who advanced on the villagers, swords drawn. Eamon, still reeling from his decision to side with Thorin and Aeron, stood beside them, a look of determination in his eyes. "We must save our village," he said, voice steady. "Together, we can end this." As the battle commenced, Thorin fought valiantly, his every move calculated to protect the villagers and wear down Queen Kayla's men. Eamon, fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, proved himself an able ally, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies with each blow. The elder, using his knowledge of ancient spells, unleashed a barrage of fire upon the invaders, forcing them back. The burly man guardian fought with unmatched ferocity, his every strike a testament to his dedication to the village's safety. In Iron's forge, the cursed weapon stirred, sensing the conflict unfolding outside. Its power grew, yearning to be released once more and claim its long-lost master. The anvil shook as the weapon's essence surged, threatening to shatter the very foundation of the forge. Back in the village square, the battle raged on. Queen Kayla's men were relentless, their numbers proving a formidable challenge for the villagers. Just when all hope seemed lost, Eamon's father was taken captive, his screams echoing through the air like a clarion call. Thorin, enraged by the turn of events, roared a battle cry and charged at the leader of Queen Kayla's men. The two warriors clashed in an epic duel, their blades dancing in a deadly ballet of steel and fire. Meanwhile, Iron stirred within his forge, the cursed weapon's power coursing through his veins. With newfound determination, he reached out to the weapon, feeling its essence resonate within him. In that moment, he understood that he was not just a blacksmith but the master of the cursed weapon, bound to it by fate. The spectral guardian appeared before Iron, its ethereal form glowing with an otherworldly light. It gazed upon the forge, watching as Iron embraced his destiny. "You have grown strong," it said, voice tinged with a hint of sadness. "But you must be careful, for your power is not without consequence." With renewed strength, Iron stood up, the cursed weapon's essence pulsating within him. He felt a surge of energy course through his body, filling him with an unmatched sense of power and purpose. Back in the village square, Thorin fought valiantly against Queen Kayla's leader, determined to protect his friends and save the village. The battle raged on, with neither side showing any signs of yielding. Eamon, driven by the desire to save his father, charged at the burly man who served as village guardian, seeking to end the conflict swiftly. The two warriors clashed, their blades ringing out like thunder. Inside the forge, Aeron reached out to the spectral guardian, seeking its guidance. "I must end this," he said, voice filled with determination, "but I fear that my power may consume me." The spectral guardian smiled sadly. "You have come far, young one. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility." With those words it vanished, leaving Aeron alone within his forge. Eamon and the burly man fought on, their blades clashing in a flurry of steel. The village elder unleashed another spell, sending Queen Kayla's men reeling back. Thorin, however, was still locked in combat with the leader, neither showing any signs of weakness. Inside his forge, Iron felt the cursed weapon's power coursing through him, filling him with an unmatched sense of purpose. With a deep breath, he closed his eyes and focused on the spectral guardian's words. He reached out to the cursed weapon, feeling its essence resonate within him. With a deafening roar, Iron summoned the full power of the cursed weapon, sending a wave of energy coursing through the village square. The ground shook as Queen Kayla's men were thrown back, their armor shattered and their weapons broken. The leader of Queen Kayla's men staggered back, eyes wide with shock and fear. Thorin, caught off guard by Iron's sudden display of power, stood still, watching as his friend fought to save the village. Eamon, sensing the danger, turned to face his father, who had been cornered by several of Queen Kayla's men. With a cry, he charged at them, freeing his father and sending their attackers fleeing in terror. The battle ended as quickly as it had begun, with the villagers standing victorious over their foes. Aeron, still filled with the cursed weapon's power, looked out upon the scene, a mixture of awe and fear in his eyes. He knew that he would need to learn how to control this newfound power, lest it consume him. Thorin approached Aeron, offering a hand to help him stand. "You have grown stronger," he said, voice filled with admiration. "But remember, power is not everything." Eamon, his father safe and the village saved, looked up at Aeron, eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he said simply. "I am glad I chose to stand by you." The burly man guardian, having fought valiantly to protect the village, looked upon his fellow villagers with pride. "We did it," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Together, we stood against the darkness and prevailed." In the aftermath of the battle, the villagers tended to their wounds and helped those in need. Aeron, still filled with the cursed weapon's power, sought solace within his forge. Knowing that he would need to learn how to control this newfound strength, the spectral guardian appeared once more before him, its ethereal form glowing with an otherworldly light. "You have shown great courage," it said, voice tinged with sadness. "But remember, your power is not without consequence." With those words it vanished, leaving Aaron alone within his forge. The village, though battered and bruised, stood united. Together, they vowed to rebuild and continue their lives, forever grateful for the friendship and sacrifice of Thorin, Eamon, and the burly man guardian. As darkness fell upon Ironwild Forest, the villagers looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of hope that had been absent for far too long. In time, Aaron learned to control the cursed weapon's power, using it to protect his village and defend against any who sought to harm them. He and Thorin continued their journey together, uncovering the secrets of the ancient temple deep within Ironwild Forest, seeking answers about the weapon's origins and its true purpose.